Hey, there we go. Welcome back to another Saturday Ironheart Merchant Company, Session 41, A Holy War Arc Begins, Part 3. This session will be taking place today in the year 65,008, the month of the Bloodied, or May, on the day of the 20th, the morning after the fight of the Mountain Giants with Monday. Which brings me into the last time we left off. This party managed to arrive in the city of Nighton just in the, I would say nick of time, but about 6.5 weeks early, as they hung around town doing some side missions, doing a little bit of work, and helping out where they could. During said time, the party managed to get caught up during the attack on the city of Nighton, assisting with the Cryptic Cabal, or at least half of Cryptic Cabal that were there, in taking down a large vanguard of the Lithotara forces. With the party managing to not only defeat the creatures, but also taking down a mountain giant who they had hoped to be the champion, but unfortunately turned out to be just a giant with a golden schlong. The party spent the rest of the end of the session cutting up the bodies and tearing away at the creatures as they did, kind of getting the rest of their downtime as they would. At the end, though, as the group had finished up, and as we're rolling back into session, Mailhell and Floorsnap having decided to return back to the ship, the Saturday Ironheart Merchant Company seeing what's going on and finishing up the last of their dissection of the creatures that they had killed, deciding to follow after Mailhell and Floorsnap, with the two bringing their commander, another figure, the third Wara, with them. The three of the Cryptic Cabal would give an escort to what was Cinder and James, who showed an interest in meeting with the captain, mostly to get this over with. While Melvin and Rolliman began kind of packing away everything, getting it ready to take off to Velcomen and getting ready to go take the tunnel down beneath the Grall's arsenal. James and Cinder, as you follow after Mailhell, Floorsnap, and Wara, come upon this quite large ship, sitting in the docks, lightly rocking and swaying in the waters. The very, what looks to be chunks of fresher wood that you can clearly see where large patch jobs have been done. The designs on the side of the ship that have been carved into it to show its glory, kind of slowly having faded over the many years that the ship has been used. However, as you come upon it, you can't help but notice the signature chunk of the majority of its belly having that black lacquer that you are so familiar with, James, as marking the Blackbone Og pirate ships. As you get closer, though, Mailhell kind of looking at you, giving a nod, Wara kind of giving a finger as they go to climb aboard the ship and head over towards the captain's quarters. They leave you kind of standing at the dock as you watch a few other ships off to the side kind of lightly swaying. Some of the trolls on the... remind me the name of the ship again, Captain Azuris?
The Red Lady.
The Red Lady. Yes, the emblazoned symbol of the Red Lady along the side, and the trolls kind of moving about as they load and unload, as you two are kind of left standing there waiting, looking up at the dock, or looking up at the ship.
I'll just keep myself calm, looking around, keeping an eye.
Okay.
As knowing that this is linked to Blackbone Og is mildly perturbing.
I will say,
best at this point.
Give me a quick profession merchant as you look around then, mentioning that. Cinder, while he does that, is there anything, are you doing anything, or are you just kind of watching James to make sure he doesn't get kidnapped or caught?
Dude, I'm looking around. I don't like being down here at the docks with a pirate ship. I'm not a fan.
Okay. Give me are you looking for anything specific, or are you just keeping your head on a swivel for anything aggressive looking?
Kind of like a once-over of everything around us.
Give me a spot check then.
22 for profession merchant.
Perfect. As you look down, you do recognize the three other ships that are docked. The first being a ship called Zels and Son. Another merchant group that had popped up. and had supposedly become quite notable as of recent, known for their small gnome or not gnome, small snowbeard-like individual captain, that is known to be even short amongst snowbeards. The second ship beyond that, the Iron Warden, that you recognize as your specific owned ship, as well as the third and final in the dock line, the First Finger, that you recognize as one of the Black Hand ships, i.e., one of Blackbone Ogg's premier personal airships.
Yeah, not walking on there, but I'll make a note of the location of the Iron Warden and come talk to
Okay.
Odger later.
Cinder, as you kind of keeping your eye on a swivel, noticing a few of the giants over on the far ship, kind of eyeing you lot up. It's quite clear people seem to be kind of watching you lot as they walk past and seem to kind of go about their business, but no one seems to be saying or doing anything. But it is almost eerie on how many eyes seem to be falling on you as you stand there waiting.
So, we're not just gonna walk onto an Og ship, right?
No. We do this on neutral ground because I'd rather not have a risk of them trying to kill us.
Oh, thank God, I didn't want to fight another group of pirates.
I didn't want to try and sink one of the ships related to Blackbone Og. He's already pissed at me enough.
Captain Azurus, we jump over to you for a moment, as you hear the knock on your door, having been able to kind of meditate, think, having been left alone by most of your crew as the guards have been just kind of staying out front while you waited and came up with a plan. You were sent a letter that gave you the explanation of a potential offer from the Ironheart Merchant Company and their interests, of course, stating out a potential offer that might be of interest to you in the concept of a reward for the returning of this ship that you so happen to have potentially found. But as you hear a knocking on the door, kind of clearly seeing as War kind of lightly creaks open the door and looks at you and trying to get your attention.
Yes, Warren. How can I help you?
Captain, the Ironheart is here to speak with you, as you had mentioned.
Ah, excellent. Time for a deal to be made. Well, off I go then.
Okay. Opening the door, letting you walk past as Crump starts to kind of follow after you immediately. Wara kind of falling in line also behind you.
I'll head up to the gunwale of the ship over by the rail, and I guess I see them over
As
side.
you look down, seeing James in his heavy armor, kind of still fully set up. He looks as intimidating as you'd expect. His weapon at his side, the holy symbol very much emblazoned upon his chest. He looks like every bit of the cleric as well as the cold-hearted looking merchant that you'd expect. And the individual next to him looks to be almost a little slightly, I think you're taller, right, Cinder? By like an inch?
No,
I
we're
am
the
the
same
exact.
height.
Oh, you're
I'm
the exact height?
However,
fair.
I have inches on because of my horns.
Yeah, I was gonna point out. I will mention the other one looks like to be a snowbeard, but with strange little horns that almost look like sticks sticking out of his head, and a very shaggy appearance with one of his eyes his right eye specifically being covered.
Am I?
Left eye.
Left eye. My apologies. What's up? Is yours?
No, that's all right. Mr. James, I am glad to finally make your acquaintance.
Captain Azurus, it's a pleasure. I'd rather not walk aboard your ship. Neutral
Why
ground
not?
and all.
Right. I mean, that's fair. Where would you wish for this neutral talk to occur then?
We could go to the tavern. Or we can arrange for a room at the Merchants Guild here.
Could also do the druids. They more or less run most of the town.
I like the sound of that.
That will
However,
work for me.
I think the Merchants Guild, I like the sound of that. Bunch of no-nonsense individuals. All looking to get a little bit of coin at the end of the day. My kind of people.
Everybody's after their own paycheck.
I will have to request that it is only you and I at the table of discussion. None of my folk will join me in the room, and I sure hope that none of your folk will join you in the room either.
Crump kind of gives us a very pouty face, not hiding his expression in the slightest.
Do I see Crump?
Junior, yes, standing right beside Captain
I
Azurus.
look at him, and then I look at Azurus. I would much prefer it that way, seeing as the company you keep, I have some general issues with their family. My head definitely turning towards Crump Jr.
Cinder's just blunt and goes, Crump Senior tried to kill us.
A couple times.
That sounds like a Crump thing. I enjoy them. Although sometimes I've gotten a few headaches, Crump Jr. here has been quite a boon to me.
As you say this, Captain Azurus, looking down at Crump Jr., you see the horror look on in his face at the mention of his father's name.
I zero in, and I just go, he's in town. He's nearby.
He's also technically we're doing some jobs that I've been able to source some of his employers out.
Enough of this random talk. Let's get down to business. Lead the way, Mr. James.
I'll start heading towards the Merchant Guild.
Okay.
You'll pull up the name.
The Bright Collective Guild. Don't worry, I've got it up here. Because since there's a bunch of new information added, I don't expect any of you to know this. So, because I didn't know about this until only a few days ago. Yeah, as you guys head into town, kind of following down the main road of Utham's Way, coming towards the end of the main street, closest to the western gate, the large building that seems to kind of dominate much of the shops around here, a massive, almost square, small castle-like fort that seems to a square, full what do they call it? Sorry, I'm looking for the right term here. I know the Roman term, it's insulae, but I know none of you know what that means. So, the large, almost, give me a second. But here, yeah, box fort-like building looks to kind of have its tiled roof made of solid chunks of silver. What looks to be massive pillars of icy wood with trees growing in the center of this thick chunk of ice, like an outer bark. As you kind of walk up to the doors, the beautifully painted glass windows kind of glimmering in the light sunlight from the morning as you walk in. A very large and open space of an office as you kind of step into one of the corners of this box fort-like building. Kind of sitting out over to the side, a secretary's desk, a few tables and booths off to the left, what looks to be and sounds to be a couple of office-like rooms off to the right where you can see doors kind of closing and people kind of walking in and out of them in merchant's attire with coins and gold kind of on their hips. As you walk in, secretary almost immediately looking up at you lot. A young, looks to be frost giant, a giantess, seemingly in very common merchant or nobleman's attire, as she seems to be wearing bright silks, looking up at you lot with her yellow and blackish colors, and goes, welcome to the Bright Collective Guild. I am here as the secretary for Mr. Brightby. We are not expecting anybody from the Ironheart Merchant Company or the Red Lady Pirates. May I ask what either of you are doing in these parts?
We were hoping to use one of your meeting rooms for a bit of business between us.
Oh, well, yes, right this way. Mr. Brightby has already prepared something for you. He mentioned that just a few moments ago. Anyways, yes, he said it would be about a silver piece for the hour. If you'd like to speak, it'll be uninterrupted with a silent spell cast into it.
I pass her a full gold piece. You can keep any change.
The Bright Collective Guild appreciates your donation. Right this way, and you can post up, and your guards are welcome to take a chair and sit it next to the door if they'd like to wait. As she kind of looks Cinder up and down.
Perfect.
Look, you know how I sit. I don't use chairs. I have a snow leopard that curls around me.
Yeah, she kind of like leads Azurus, James, and Cinder kind of through the halls of this rather long building. As you go to the other corner of it, coming to where a bunch of luxury rooms look to be set up, the door slightly kind of tilted open, where you can see beautiful red, blue, purple silk rooms that seem to all be matched to a specific color. Variations kind of adorned to it, but mostly sticking to that coloration. As you kind of head into the first one, a bright, almost yellowish golden room. The door closes almost right behind you immediately as Azurus and James walks in. The sounds of a lock kind of clicking and the spell immediately taking effect as you look around the room and see two couches kind of set across from each other, a large table with a couple of what looks to be cups full of steaming hot tea already. On either side behind you looks to be paintings with your symbols from your own companies kind of designed into the painting as a sigil. The one behind James kind of showing him standing on top of the corpse of a dragon with the Ironheart merchant flag kind of held over them. The other behind Azurus's side looks to be Captain Azurus holding a dragon by the throat that looks similarly to Greg's Marathon as he kind of pulls his cutlass out. As the two of you kind of go to sit down, the hot tea itself kind of still steaming. The sounds from outside seem to almost immediately deafen and leave you two to speak as you will freely. No seemingly scrying or anything going on.
You know, James, it's been a minute since I've had quiet. Although nothing's truly quiet for me, as I pull out a bottle of that delicious fire liquor that my cook makes and pour a little bit into my tea, and I'll offer some to James. Something
James
to start
will
off
hold
this.
James will hold a hand up in polite refusal. I don't mix alcohol with dealings. Tends to fog the mind a bit.
Yeah, more for me at the end of the day. All right. So, I have something that you want. What's your offer? And we shall go at a little dual
Well,
deal making.
first, I think a proper introduction is due. I am James Ironheart, head owner and proprietor of the Ironheart Merchant Company under the Greg's Maritime Trading Company, one of the top 3 merchant companies in the world.
I am Azurus the Dragon, captain of the Red Lady, one of the world's most wanted. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
And yes, you have something I want. And my deal is this. I am offering 3 high magic bars of metal as a bonus for this. They are priceless metals. I have not been able to gauge what their true value is. I just know they are very rare. They are. You can take them and see if your crafter, as I've heard you have, can do something with them. A 50,000 gold piece finder's fee, along with. I'll offer a bonus of a partnership, a legitimate business that you can take 20% of the profits from. It'll run a business under my flag, following my rules, but it's essentially free money for you, as long as it stays legitimate.
Mr. Ironheart, in my hundreds of years of life, I have learned that nothing is free. First off, although I like the sound of 3 ingots of priceless metal, I think you might overestimate my crafter. While they are very skilled, if I'm correct, I have heard of these metals, and almost no one can work with them. They may be priceless, but they're mere paperweights for the time being. As well, for the finder's fee, I know the value of this ship, this vessel, and the potential money you'll be making off it anyways. So, I would like to say that the finder's fee be moved up to 250,000 gold pieces. And on top of that, instead of a one vessel at 20% of the profit, I request that I get 30% revenue from all vessels of yours and your subsidiaries. In return, if any of my ships come across your vessels, they will do unto them no harm. And on top of that, if they look to be in trouble, they will go to assist. That is, any ships flying under the Cryptic Cabal flag.
That is. I'm sad that you're putting your crafter down. They seem very eager to work with such materials. For one. For two, I can agree that it's worth a 200,000 finder's fee. And I'm sorry, I cannot accept a 30% of all my business going to you. That would essentially make you a holder in my business, which would be risky, as that would put us under you. Not a safe thing for legitimate business. The business I'm offering, I can bump up to, say, 40% of the profits will go to you. And I already have a ship that I can have it put on. Along with, I'll throw in, as James checks a small notebook, I can throw in some very rare materials aside from that, such as, say, some skin of giants and the blood of some giants. Say a good 20,000 of mountain giant skin, and
I
another 8,000 of mountain giant bones, worth their weight.
I care not for the leftovers that my own party mates didn't take. I would like to. I am content with 200,000 as a finder's fee. I'm content with the 3 pieces of metal that you have brought on to me, but I am still do not like the one ship, as I need a good way to make some money. So I change my offer from 30% of revenue to 40% profit from all vessels, with the protections. On top of that, I will have no say on how you run your business. I will simply just be collecting a check, as it were. You still remain in power, as do all of your subsidiaries in business making decisions. It is merely a protection. I will be there when need be, as I come across. And I think that is a fine deal to have another fleet of ships out in the ocean that, one, won't attack you, and two, will come aid you if need be.
You see, I cannot accept that last one, as I have to ensure I pay my employees.
That's what profit is for, isn't it? It's all the things that come after.
And I have to make sure I can keep expanding, which comes out of the profits. I
Which is
don't just
why I'm
line my own
taking
pockets.
40, not 50. Most of the
I'm
profits
offering.
will go to you.
I can boost the one ship to 50%. Half of its profits go to you, which, let it be known that most of my subsidiaries bring in over 100,000 a year. As a matter of fact, all of them all but one bring in over that. And this one would depend on you. The business you choose, you'd get to set the captain. It just has to be a legitimate one. They'd follow my rules, but as long as they're legally following all customs that need to be followed, anything else is perfectly fine.
50,000 is pennies of my expenses.
50%. The 200,000 we've agreed on. The 3 metal bars we've agreed on.
You just told me that your ships bring in 100,000 in profit roughly every year, correct?
At minimum, they bring that in.
So at minimum, I get 50,000 a year. 50,000 a year would barely cover maintenance, pay, upkeep, anything.
How about I
Plus,
throw
I
in one
don't
other
have
thing?
I do not have the business connections to even set up my own legitimate business. I've been out of the game for hundreds of years, my friend. And I think it'd be beneficial for one to have protection vessels on the sea.
I already do.
I simply wish to be invested in all vessels, which means all vessels are important to me to upkeep. Make sure they are safe. That is for any of your ships sunk is a hit into my cash, and I wish not to let any of my cash sink to the depths of the ocean.
I cannot go with that route, as it would be more problematic for me to have that tight a connection, especially to a most wanted. The
What is
ship
the
I'm
most
offering would be, depending on the business you chose, quite profitable, and should everything work out, I can arrange for yearly bonuses to be paid out, not to the amount you're asking for. And if I can get a business off the ground here that I've been focused on after seeing the dockyard, I can promise you won't have to worry about expensive repairs or upkeep
50?
on any of your waterborne ships.
So you're asking me to take 50% profit from a ship that has, I don't know, a good chance of making money. This, you see, Mr. Ironheart, I am no stranger of being screwed. What stops you from sinking a ship or sending it somewhere inevitably for it to become not your problem anymore, and then I am out in the water with
To put it
nothing to
simply,
show for it? Please let me finish, Mr. Ironheart. This, I will be willing to go down to 25% profit, all vessels, just so that I am protected from you scuttling a ship to not pay me anymore.
dear Captain Azuris, one, only a terrible merchant would scuttle their own ships. For one. For two, I leave my subsidiaries, which is what this would be, to their own accords. They choose their path. Should they sink or get themselves stranded? If they can contact me, I will come and help. But I do not order them to go anywhere.
Thus, you are leaving my profits to the whims of a captain who may send themselves to the death.
And that captain will be on your choice. You
No,
could assign
absolutely
anyone
not.
to it.
If it is your ship, I will have no say on who runs it. It will not be my fault that a ship gets scuttled. If it is my ship, it is mine only and mine alone. No one will tell me how to run a ship.
Well, then let me offer this. After my next big sale, I will upgrade and pay for entirely in return for the ship, including the other things offered. No business connections otherwise. and I will ensure you have an airship worthy of you, of similar value to that one.
To the what I am selling you. Well, not selling,
Yes.
forgive me, for returning.
Yes.
How long would this take?
It would take roughly a year.
A lot can happen in a year, Mr. Ironheart.
A lot can. But by the fate's design, according to a great fortune teller, I was supposed to be dead the first month. I've already defied fate. I will continue to do so.
Fate is fickle. So if you do not mind, please recap the deal thus far.
You have agreed to accept the 3 priceless metals, 200,000 gold finder's fee to be paid today, and the third term, as we cannot come to an agreement on you having a legitimate business under my flag, has been offered to be an upgrade to either an airship, of creation of an airship, or an upgrade to your ship into roughly the equal value of the ship you have of mine.
Equal, not roughly.
Well, it would depend on the starting ship. If we are upgrading your beautiful Red Lady, then the cost would be down a bit.
Are you really certain you do not wish to give me a portion of all ships for the sake of future protection from all vessels in any point of the world?
Being that close-knit would be much more dangerous, I believe, for both sides.
Might I ask you why you detest getting a partner such as I aboard?
A small gesture to your image behind you. My employer's there. Meaning that should he find out about that idea behind you, he's likely to try to scuttle your ships all on his own. He's a prideful being. And he's earned it at this point, I'd say.
Who?
Greg's Maritam, the dragon you are choking in your image, behind you.
Oh, yes, I have deals with Greg's Marathon myself, don't you know?
And should he find out you're holding a portion of the property, a portion of property that belongs to me, stalling me out from making more business, I can't believe he'd be much too happy.
My friend, I'm his business as well, you know. It is a benefit for us both. I get more money to enhance my fleets of ill-gotten gains and protections of the oceans themselves. It is simply a small percentage of your profits for protection and a growth into a very nice security firm.
You see, I have to operate within the bounds of the law. But we could throw in a aside that should I need your assistance, you can be paid per job.
Hmm. How about this? I do not get 20% of revenues. We will scuttle the percentage. If any ships under the Cryptic Cabal flag come across any of yours in a time of need, my vessels will be there to assist. And if the ship remains upright and not to the bottom of the ocean, the crew, the captain, will pay me handsomely. If we want to go into specifics, what do you think, Mr. Ironheart? What would be a good
15%
fee?
of the profits of that year.
Hmm.
From that ship and that ship alone.
And I agree, and this is going to be on top of this new ship of mine that I get a year later. Something for me to consistently not do harm to your vessels. Because my crew
If-
gets a little nippy if they do not get their gold.
If
And
that
who
is the
knows?
case, let's lower the value of the ship upgrades then, since you'll be profiting off of protection,
I
as you
put
wish.
myself at risk every time I go to protect somebody.
As do I. I do believe my reputation as an adventurer merchant precedes me in that matter.
Who isn't an adventurer these days, my friend? That is where the gold is. Every merchant is an adventurer, at some regard.
Not in the way that I am. Since you'll be able to afford better upgrades after protecting the ships, I'd say we cut the value in half, which would still be a very beautiful ship at the end.
Mr. Ironheart, what would you say the value of a ship that we are discussing to return here? What is the value of a ship? And I'm not talking about the price that it took to build it, because you know, as such as I, that that is not the only thing that brings it value. What is the value of this ship?
That ship is currently the culmination of 3 years of work. Of my own hands, and my allies and subsidiaries.
And one can expect that this ship will bring in probably hundreds of thousands in profit per year.
It would depend on the year.
Of course, as all trading is done. So, I'd say a good number would be 1.5 million in upgrades.
I can agree to that.
So, allow me to recap our dealings, if you wish, Mr. Ironheart.
Go ahead.
Excellent. So, Mr. Ironheart will give unto Azorus the Dragon. Please, actually, would you mind stating what the three very priceless ingots of metal are?
Chaoticum, Ordentium, and Mayhemium. One of
Excellent.
which does have a use in the world, apparently.
So, those three priceless metal ingots, along with a $200,000, gold coin, finder's fee, there will be, within a year, 1.5 million gold coins in upgrades onto either my current vessel or a brand new vessel, along with, if any of the ships sailing under the Cryptic Cabal flag are to come across a vessel of the Ironheart and her subsidiary company, can go and protect this vessel in exchange for 15% of the year's profits.
That sounds roughly fair.
I slam my hands on the table and I stand up. Excellent! Then we have an accord. So, what shall we sign on? I snap my fingers and I roll out a piece of my paper.
I don't
Shall
trust
we
any
sign on
parchment you
this?
make appear, as James will pull out a roll of parchment and write down the terms of the contract.
Hold on, Mr. Ironheart. How about this? We get a piece of paper from the Fine Merchant Guild. For as you do not trust me, you must assume I do not trust you in the slightest.
That is understandable.
Alright, sorry, I was taking a minute to get my notes down, make sure I had that right. Cool. As you both say this, kind of not trusting either, you see as suddenly a piece of parchment appears on the table, materializing with exactly the words as written. The deal of 3 bars of precious metal, one being chaoticum, one being mahanium, one being ordicum. To be paid to the Cryptic Cabal, 200,000 GP finder's fee to be paid to Cryptic Cabal. 1.5 million GP in a year is to be paid to the Cryptic Cabal, and the asset development of either upgrades being paid specifically to the Red Lady or to a new ship that is being provided to Captain Azurus by James the Ironheart. And lastly, any ship sailing under the Cryptic Cabal can contract any ship under the Ironheart Merchant Company can contract one of the members of the Cryptic Cabal for up to for 15% of their annual earnings for protection. So, with that in mind, and as the last bit, a note that you will be provided back the ship that is in the possession of Captain Azurus currently. As the two of you kind of looking it over, it looks to be laid out flat directly as you expected. No loopholes to be changed, and a signature of witness from the individual with that signed Mr. Brightby, the Merchant Prince.
All right. Let me push my John Hancock. I don't know who that is.
As Azurus signs it, you see a little bit of glow from the ink as the ink almost immediately dries upon the finishing of the signature.
James will sign it, and on the pommel of his hammer, he stamps it as well with the Ironheart insignia.
Now, with the business done, would you wish to have a drink with me, James?
We can talk about that after I have it handed back, as I pull out the 200,000 gold piece and set it down for him.
Putting the sack of gold on the table and in front of him as you do, as well as I assume the 3 bars.
Yep. They are wrapped up, though, in a light cloth as to prevent them from reacting with anything.
James, I'm so glad we can make this deal today, and I assure you that any future dealings will be met in kind.
You hear as the door opens, and Cinder, who's kind of standing out there looking up at this very tall-looking individual, this very thin and kind of grayish-skinned frost giant who looks to be around 35 feet tall, kind of ducking down through the door and walking in. As he looks between the two of you, his heavy glasses with gold rims to them, his almost gold and silk merchant noble attire that seems to be dotted with gemstones and glitter, as he kind of smiles over at both of you, the wrinkles under his eyes showing his age and his exhaustion, as he produces the ship in his hand, Captain Azurus, and hands it to you. And as he looks at you and smiles and goes, "I am Mr. Brightby, and as it is my business that you have made this deal, I've made sure to acquire all assets required at the opening of this deal," as he hands you the ship, Captain Azurus, to hand to James.
Huh. Merchants. Oh, well, James, come and collect your prize.
I'll step over and take my ship.
Excellent.
As you kind of take it from Azurus, you see Azurus walks over, kind of grabbing the bars, putting them away as well on him. Mr. Brightby kind of closing the door behind him after handing the ship over to leave you two alone, kind of looking at Cinder for a second, giving him a nod, and then seemingly walking back off to his office.
Cinder's just thinking, man, he's really tall for a frost giant.
I will say, Cinder, also to your note, you didn't hear him show up. He seemed to almost appear out of nowhere.
That happens a lot, to be fair. I'm not surprised.
Yeah, it's just it's a little more unusual for someone that large to be that soft of foot.
Oh, James, I also want to impart upon you this little tidbit of information. I just wanted to let you know, as many people gain fear from the color of my hull. Fear not. I have no relation and or dealings with Blackbone Hog. It is merely his first ship, that I brought back to life from the depths of the sea. Something of a inspiration of mine, I must say.
Well, then maybe with the upgrades, we can replace it with a color that befits the Red Lady.
Here's hoping. Well then, if you do not wish to have that drink, I will be heading off to my ship in hope of, drinking to celebrate. If you wish to come aboard, you are definitely welcome. If not, I will meet you in the tavern.
Have a wonderful evening. I have some other businesses I must attend to.
Suppose I'm going to my ship then. If you ever need anything, let me know. Goodbye.
As Azurus kind of starts heading out the door, Cinder kind of looking over at you, seems to kind of walk out with you for a bit, leaving James in the room to kind of contemplate, look over the contract, and really take a moment to breathe as a global CEO just met with a pirate captain. While not the most terrifying individual, still isn't exactly a calming interaction. But as
Ben, depose.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, bang.
As you walk out, Azurus, can you give me a spot check?
I certainly can.
This will just be notable for once Monday session comes up.
Of course. Let me pull up my sheet and my dice.
Yep, take your time.
You said spot check, correct?
Yep, just a spot check. Don't worry, you won't have to do any more dice rolls other than this.
Nice. All right, sick. All right, let's pull out a luckier dice.
Ooh.
And we have a 18 spot check.
Okay. Yeah, as you kind of head off on your own, enjoying, or kind of passing by, Mr. Brightbee seemingly waving over at you as Cinder kind of walks you out, making sure you're not bothered by anyone. The Snow Leopard kind of following alongside him. As the two of you kind of head out, Cinder just kind of waves you off as you walk out the door, kind of saying that there's no one really going to attack you or be a problem for you with that gold on your hip. He seems to turn back in and head back into the building.
I will give one send-off phrase of I'd look after your short friend. He seemed quite terrified that his father was nearby.
I'll take that into account. Farewell, Mr. Cinder.
Yes, farewell.
As you head off on your own, Mr. Captain Azurus, heading to find yourself a nice little bar, or a nice inn to go relax at. As you head out, heading towards the inn where your men and most of your company has kind of been staying, a smile on your face, knowing that the deal went down in your favor, everything working out. As you kind of begin to head off, patting yourself down. Other than noticing that your map must be back at the ship, you continue on your night. Thank you for joining us, Captain Azurus.
Pleasure to be here, and hopefully there will be not too many more instances of me coming over.
Who knows? We'll see you when you come back next time, alright? Enjoy yourself.
Deuces.
Alright.
So I took his to the Dark Continent.
Yep. I just pinged him.
We have some stuff to turn in, though, up in Velkomen.
We know where the Dark Continent is now.
We can avoid it more accurately.
We also sell this information to a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. Greg wants to know exactly where it is. I can auction this.
Cinder, as you go and grab this and kind of hiding as you watch him, or as you kind of close the door, watching from the colored window glass for a moment, it's the secretary kind of eyeing you up, but going about her business as after a moment, you kind of walk out the door calmly, crouching down and finding a couple of the shadows as you kind of tag along to Azurus before managing to grab the rather large tube on his hip that kind of seems to dangle there. Kind of picking it up as you do and start walking or heading back. You seem to go unnoticed as he continues towards the inn. As you head back into the guild, you do see Mr. Brightbee kind of standing at the door looking at you as you walk in, just as he just stares, standing off to the side, waiting to see if you do anything.
Good day to you, Mr. Brightbee.
Kind of looks at you and goes, you know, Thieves don't prosper very well in towns like this.
It's mostly true. I'd have to agree. I'm not a fan myself, but I feel stealing from a thief is fair play.
Just remember, a mouse that tries to steal from another mouse gets its head cut off the same as the original. For the housewife never cares which mouse is the one that stole the food. As he kind of eyes you up, raising an eyebrow.
More than likely. That's why I won't be doing this again.
If I may advise, that one is going to become a very big issue for you in the near future.
I know.
Kind of gives us a smile at that and goes, "Your compatriot is waiting in the room still. I've kept him mellowed. He hasn't realized the light smell in there is a poisonous gas to keep a calmed attitude. You might want to take him out soon before he loses any capabilities with his thinking."
All right, I'll go get him.
James will actually be heading out of the room at that point.
James, the door is locked from the outside.
I'm gonna go.
This is some bullshit.
It is, but there's
I was peaceful.
You were. James, as you're kind of sitting there relaxing, taking a moment, breathing, the tea seems to be quite almost intoxicating as you kind of look at it. Though what's strange is looking across, you see the teacup that had the bit of alcohol added to it by Azurus before Azurus left, and as you're kind of catching a little bit of a note of it, you notice that Azurus or the cup itself starts to cloud and then clear, the coloration changing back to the original tea's color, almost as if the alcohol has been completely removed.
Mr. Brightbee does not play games when it comes to this.
You get the weird and eerie feeling that you are being watched, James, as you kind of continue to sit there, kind of relaxing, and sitting on the couch and just waiting for a moment as you kind of...
No, James is going through tallying up what he's going to have to sell to make the upgrades at this point, because he has a plan.
Okay.
With what he has, so...
Pulling out your little ledger book and going through it. Okay. All right, as you kind of start to flip through the ledger, and reading through what you can, as you do, you finally hear a light knock on the door as suddenly the key seems to turn and the knob seems to open, and what looks to be a Cinder's head poking through, and a Snow who just kind of shoves right through and goes in.
All right.
James will stand up and walk out the door with Cinder.
Once James is out and next to me, I pat him on the back and dealing go well if they cast neutralize poison.
Suddenly, James, you feel less relaxed, and you feel your anxiety suddenly rising slightly.
It went fine, although I had to promise 1.5 million in upgrades. Otherwise, he was going to try to take 30% of the profits.
Okay, so
of the entire business.
So we scammed him.
Yeah,
1.5 million will get you different amounts of things everywhere.
Correct. Plus, I said I could do it as a ship in itself, which, if I do, I'll design it for one person in particular. One of his shipmates has been rather friendly towards me, so I'd rather make sure they're well rewarded. Well rewarded. God, that poison was weird.
I've heard Cloud Giant give incredibly unfair upgrade prices to other races.
That's true. It would depend on how I wish to do this.
Up to you, as I'm going to kind of lead out of the guild.
I'll be following along.
Yeah.
We also need to see where we can turn in those heads, and I need to see if the city'd be interested in taking the mountain giant parts and trade for some land. That dockyard will be useful if it actually had a shipbuilder attached.
I mean, I could go ask the guild halls about the heads. We could go talk to the mayor about owning land and trading it for mountain giant parts.
I think that would be good for us, as well as we should probably check on the Iron Warden since it's here. I'd like to get them set up with some upgrades possibly as well after this war is done.
As you kind of
Did I see the Iron Warden docked when we walked down there?
You did, yes. It was one of the ships I listed off. As you lot kind of pass by the secretary's desk, at the mention of land, you hear the giantess kind of cough loudly, and looking over at you as you pass by.
I'll stop and look at her.
I do apologize, but if you're looking to get land, you know that this is the place to be. You have to file all your paperwork with Mr. Brightby.
Oh, I thought that type of purchase would have to go through the mayor of the town and such.
Well, it does. She gets final approval, but everything goes through for the processing and everything to make sure you are legitimate as we do a full background check on you, investigate into all your leads, everyone who works and associated with you, and it makes the process much easier on Lady Duskwolf, although my understanding is the lady isn't quite fond of Mr. Brightby.
James will take a moment and think, so would it be possible to work out a trade for some of these giant parts, as transporting them alone is going to be a bit difficult?
We'll buy anything. You can sell to us, or you can sell to one of the local stores. We'll give you the same price as you'd expect of a global competitor, but you might be able to find something more to your liking in the locals. Some of the locals may need the materials themselves, some may not. And she kind of shrugs.
I'll take a look around and see what I can work out then.
She nods at that and goes, well, if you need anything, I can get Mr. Brightby's attention. However, if I may recommend, you might want to work up on your ability to do merchant dealings. Couldn't help but overhear a little bit of your negotiations with the pirate captain. You really should maybe take a couple classes on how to negotiate deals.
That was a special case.
You got ringed out.
Not for what he wanted, though. It was a price I was accepting.
She kind of shrugs at that and goes, well, if that's what you want to tell yourself, I've seen many of merchants run themselves to ruin in dealings like that, so be careful as you go into this. But Mr. Brightby is happy to meet with you, as he said he was interested in your friend there, as well as you, if you have a curiosity in doing business here.
I kind of raise an eyebrow.
Well, I'll look to Cinder. We wish to meet him now. It doesn't sound like this meeting will go anywhere right now.
We're already here. Do as you wish.
Let's go ahead and meet with him then.
She smiles and goes, he'll take you in his office. It's right upstairs. If you follow to the right, you'll see the big B on the door. It's hard to miss.
James will nod, and on the walk up there, James will prep himself with 2 spells that last a very long time. Divine Insight and Friendly Face.
I need you to give me a spell resistance check for both.
Yep.
As the entire building has an anti-magic thing set up for it. Or a dispel magic, rather, sorry.
Okay, so that's +7. 12.
12. As you go to cast, you feel you feel your first spell immediately cancel out. Your charge is not taken or used. However, you do feel the effect not go through.
Okay, so I can't use any of the boosts I would normally use. Understood.
As you kind of look around, noticing the wood in this building, there's something kind of unique that catches your attention. Give me a price check. Or I'll take a knowledge nature, but I doubted you had that skill, so...
Nature?
Cinder, you are welcome to if James is going to point out, but let James roll first to see what he gets.
I'll point out the woods weird to my uncle as we walk up. Yeah, he's a druid. Weird wood is kind of his
I want to see your
thing.
First. There's never been a middle ground. It's either been high or low.
Yeah, as you're kind of looking over, you're definitely sure you've never seen this wood before. Its greenish appearance seems to make it look young, but as you kind of look at it, you're definitely you can tell it's weathered. I mean, you're a craftsman yourself. This looks to be like wood you'd work with normally. As you kind of take a look and kind of tap it passing by. Cinder, you want to give me a knowledge nature as James kind of lightly taps it, catching your attention?
Yeah, it's a 26.
26. You recognize this as what... It's not a wood that is known or named yet, but it's rare, or it has been seen amongst some druids who like to keep a mix of a metalmancer druid class and a normal druid. This metal is kind of a subsequent mixture of what is a tungsten, if you will, wood. A wood that is completely lacking in magic, but seems to be very fervent in dispelling and anti-magic. Almost naturally having a repellent to those who cast, which causes most druids to not really like using it, but a lot of them also consider it to work almost as capably because it's stronger, similar to tungsten. So it makes a great quarterstaff for bunking people in the head with.
Tungsten wood.
Yep, but otherwise you're unsure as the name has not, there has been no global name added as of yet. But as you kind of walk up past it, noticing this and seeing that does seem to cancel out James's magic as he seems to start to glow lightly and the spell almost cracks around him. So two of you head up. Do you say anything, James, about that?
I'll just say, I can't use my regular boost, so here's hoping we can get by on what we have.
Oh, I already know this is gonna be fun to watch.
As you head up to the door, the large black wooden door, like almost a mahogany dark and black coloration onto it, with a big B kind of designed into it, made out of gold and orichalcum, and it seems to specific kind of align the entirety of the door. The light music that seems to come from inside sounds as almost as if an orchestra is playing on the other side for a ballroom. As kind of looking on to the either area or either side of the door, you notice two statues. One that looks to be of a large, impressive dragon-like figure that almost looks like Movasi, and the other that looks to be a carving of Ogarin kind of standing opposite him. As you kind of walk up to the door, looking up at it, the door is about 30 feet tall. As you kind of stand there, looking at both the statue and the door. It's closed though.
I'm gonna knock. I'm too short to reach that handle, even with a jump check.
Yeah, as you give a light knock on the door, you hear the orchestra seem to kind of almost go silent as the door lightly creaks open, and then suddenly opens fully as across from you sits a large desk that seems to have the carving of a almost gemstone dragon, kind of one going on the top and the other on the bottom, curling into almost a python-like ball at the center of the desk. The rest of it being a large wooden surface that looks to be mainly petrified in design. What looks to be a large ashtray made of solid jade, a huge looking like cigar sitting off to it. On the sides, lines of bookshelves filled with books of high value. These things look to be like some that you immediately catch of like Regan Utham's personal collection of his medical books that he's published, some in the first edition, from what you can tell. Books from Greg's Maratom's own personal collection, where you can see like a document or a book that talks about his life, included with pictures as you kind of slightly curl a little bit, yeah. But kind of looking about, you see a few books that you can clearly recognize now, the letters of Abyssal and the symbolism of Abyssal, having seen a little bit of it here and there. Kind of that dot about. A few, what looks to be a suit of armor off in the back behind his desk that looks to be made of a yellow and black metal combination. As Mr. Brightby sits at a table sits at his chair that looks to be made of some sort of solid, large Arctic mane-like creature. As he kind of looks over at you, smiling, his big, bright smile, and goes, "Oh, James Ironheart, welcome in. Please, here, allow me," as he kind of snaps his finger, and the entire room slightly shrinks down to about a 5 foot in height ratio. Even himself shrinking down to about now only standing at 10 feet tall, as he kind of like sits at his table. The chair's kind of pulling over to you lot as you stand in the doorway.
James will walk in and sit down. Well, thank you. Consideration is much appreciated.
Cinder, are you also going to take a seat?
I'm a guard. I'm not allowed to sit.
Alright, Snow will jump up in the other chair and kind of curl up in it. As the chairs immediately zoom over towards the desk, pulling you over, Cinder, you feel yourself lightly pulled in to the room as the door closes behind you both. As you kind of sit there looking over at Mr. Brightby, he kind of smiles and goes, So, what can I do for you two this day? Well, three, I guess, as he kind of looks over at Snow and gives a warm smile.
Well, one, I was wondering if you would be interested in purchasing any of the giant parts that we have.
Always. I assume you're talking about the mountain giant as well as the multiple bog, fog, and all the other poor creatures.
I
I'd be interested. I can do. What do you say? 500,000 for the whatever you're looking to sell. We'll just do a big block order.
Can I get clarification? Does he mean 500,000 a pound or what?
For for everything you're offering.
Well, that would depend on the amount I would offer then, because some of these materials are.
I'll tell you, allow me to make this clear. You're not going to be able to sell the rest of those materials in bulk in this town, as he kind of like lightly pulls a feather out of the inkwell and kind of like starts writing on a piece of parchment. It looks like a journal. And pulling his cigar, putting it in his mouth, and goes, well, I mean, if you can manage to even sell half of that amongst some of these merchants, I'd be shocked. They don't have the gold value to put behind it right now. So, I'll tell you what. You're either going to give me a bulk offer, and we'll call it easy. Me and you'll make a deal, and we'll go from there. Or you're going to give me a percentage, which is meaning you're going to give me so much material, and I'll give you a profit percentage of whatever I sell on it. So if I sell it for 200% and you're asking for 20, you get 20% of whatever I make. Those are the terms I offer. Unless you've got something up your sleeve that's got better for the Bright Collective. But given what I saw, with your dealing with that captain there, somehow I feel like you're more in need of the coin than I am.
I thank you for your consideration. I'll have to mull it over.
No, you won't. You can sit here and we can talk about it. I'm a merchant who likes to get everything kind of figured out in the moment. So, yes or no's are much easier, and then we have no questions coming up. So what's your problem with the deal?
One, considering the amount, it's very little money considering the rarity of creature a mountain giant is.
You're not selling me the golden schlong, you're going to be selling me the leather, meat, and bones. I can get giant meat anywhere I want in these lands. It ain't gonna be nothing special. The leather'll do good for natural armor bonuses for any gear that is made from it, but understand that even with that in mind, the skin being as thick as it is and being helpful, I could just as easily get that from Regan Utham and Roten himself from other materials. Wouldn't be as rare, but cost me a quarter of the price and I could make double the profits. Because honestly, around here, who wants to be caught dead in mountain giant armor? That's just asking for an ass whooping. So, I'll tell you what, I'll bump it to 750,000 for what you're willing to sell. You sell me the bones, I'll take the meat if you don't decide to keep it, which I understand if you want to ration it, though I do find it quite creepy. And
no,
the skin.
The meat can be dealt with as you please.
And that's my offer, 750,000 for the lot of it. Whatever you don't want, I keep, and I take for that. Or you take, let's say, I'll give you 50% of whatever profit I make on reselling the materials, and I'll buy it at market price.
James will think for a moment.
What would I roll for a guess of how much he could sell it for?
Praise check.
With his monopoly over the town.
For Mr. Brightbury? Yeah, praise check. Or knowledge local, I'll take either.
Since this has to do with buying or selling, I will be using my gauntlets plus 5.
Alright.
21 for an appraise.
3 appraised.
Between the two of you, roughly, given he's offering around 750,000 for it, you'd guesstimate on what he's probably expecting. He's probably going to have to shipping, and he's probably not going to sell it in Knighton. If he was, otherwise, I mean, given what he just mentioned, there's no way he's got a way of collecting that much cash. So either he's expecting a to-do or an IOUs, which is not something the Ironheart has dealt with, or he's got an outside buyer. As you kind of take a second and thinking about, Around 5 to 6 million is a good, probably close range of what he's probably looking at. You'd guesstimate for his, given his connection and given the building that he seems to be running. I mean, the guy did just look down on James Cinder as you kind of take a second catching that, and James kind of said into perspective, this guy is willing to look down at you. It means he's got to have some cash behind him.
So it's either
Also-
take the rating and move on selling him stuff, or refuse on that grounds alone.
Mm-hmm.
Although, keep in mind, you're not offering the whole body. He's wanting whatever you don't want.
Yep. He's offering
Which
to
would be-
buy in general.
Which means you can keep the best parts that you want.
Could also try and work it out as James to ask for him to butcher up anything that you need specific, or that would be valuable specifically that you don't know about. You just gotta figure out how to phrase that.
It's also true.
Because since you don't know
Yeah.
Mountain Giant anatomy, this could be your one chance, so something to consider.
There is also the thing to consider of, essentially, I can sell the meat, because that's not going to do me any good, period.
Well, the meat you still have left. Kind of a chunk.
Yeah. I'm sorry, that's still a lot of meat.
It is, I'm just saying for perspective.
And we can sell some of the barrels, the ton barrels of Mountain Giant blood. Let me go through this real quick.
Take your time. I'm sending Hunter a confirmation on what date the thing has to be paid because he asked me. I'll send you the date too, so don't worry.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the toenails, period. There's no way we're dealing with that. The blood from the fog giants and the bog giants are good for things, so
It's just excess, to be honest.
yeah, so we can get rid of half of the bog giant barrels without any issue.
Should probably write this out as you go.
That's what I'm doing. Actually, let me get 32 bog giant. Keep only 30.
I will note also, given the fact that Knighton isn't exactly a big merchant town, it's a prosperous town, but it's a secondary town, which, to James' own understanding of how logistics and merchanting works, King's End is going to get most of the premier valuables, and because that's going to be the first thing that most people hit on the river down before they get to Knighton. So, again, you're not going to be looking at many rich people down here in Knighton. This is always going to be a secondary logistics spot. So, as you kind of think about selling it for yourself.
Which also comes into how much is your business you want to build here going to be worth as a second.
Yeah, you could also use
Yeah.
this to bribe your way into getting what you want set up. That's a secondary thing, is you could use this as a down payment to take care of your property.
One moment.
Yep. We'll take a quick moment for those watching at home. We'll be back in just a blink of an eye. Alright, we return back. James has returned as he is continuing to note out. Yeah, James, feel free. I'm just having on recording so that way if we ever have to look back on it, you can note it. So what else?
I'm not likely to sell off I'm not going to sell off much of the Mountain Giant here. I don't think I have an agreement that'll get it moved up to the Velcome in my shop.
Okay.
You could give him a cut of the skin because, like we've realized, we literally can't process that much.
Yeah, I can give him 20,000 in the skin, 20,000 pounds of skin.
So what's the final offer you're going to offer out? I assume you're writing it down, so. I hate when my calculator tells me it has something to tell me.
I'm still going through because we also have... Because bog giant bones aren't good for much, neither is the skin, apparently.
No. Giants are not magical-based creatures for the most part. Unless that giant has a very specific thing, there's very few things their materials can be used for other than natural armor. And they're
They
not
have water
magically
breathing.
conductive. Yeah, which in that case is their lungs, which I specifically gave you a bunch of for water breathing.
So...
Because you can grind or use that for in any of your potion crafting.
I can sell off all of the bog giant stuff here then too. That's of no real loss.
Entire bodies.
Yep. Doesn't hurt.
Other than the hair, because the hair can be turned into rope, which is a very sturdy rope.
Well, also, literally, all giant subject creatures' hair is used as an 8th level spell's fucking part.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. What else you thinking? James just breaking out his little catalog, going through it as Cinder and Snow watch.
Also excluding the blood. Fog giant bones and skin have some effects because of their effects that they already have. So they'll be interesting to sell other places.
James with an abacus, plotting out the price ranges and what you can do.
I'll also sell 6 of the ton barrels because we don't have a use for that much mountain giant blood.
Not unless you want to get into corruption spells, which I don't think you do. It lowers wisdom.
Although learning what corruption spells are will come in handy, so that way you know how to cure them. But doing them yourself
can do
may not be
research
good.
for that.
Doing research on already established stuff is the goal at that point. You're not trying to recopy the spells themselves.
Yeah, because I think the 4th level corruption spell deals 2d6 wisdom damage to the caster on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Bad.
Yep.
And toenails. I'm also excluding toenails because I am not.
Same thing with fingernails. Yeah.
Nails in general have magic power for some reason. Although I just imagine now James just carries around with him a large toenail clipper. That's like literally the size of him.
It's going to be made of Oventium.
Yeah, it's his backup weapon.
Don't forget, animate wooden stuff, which I can cast, can make moving parts. So I can just make out of literally almost nothing, just giant in no
giant
time.
Toenail clippers. Yeah, no. Well, it'd be the sharpening that'd be the hard part, but yeah, technically.
Well, I can do it out of ice, and it can make it sharp.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. Yeah, fair enough.
I can just make ice clippers.
That's gonna be our new MC weapon: giant toenail clippers.
Justin, your thoughts on this?
Reminds me of that anime with the scissors, and the clothing aliens.
I mean, yeah, Karen, it's more or less just getting rid of the excess and that we can't use, so I see no problem with it.
Because we'll be able to move the rest up. Bones will keep, so I'm not as worried about getting rid of that.
Are you just going to hand him this written list as you're sitting there writing?
I'll write this out and.
Well, this is what's technically on your guys' not wagons, but sleds that are parked up by the over by the inn. So, as you kind of hand him this like written down list, though, looking up at him and kind of pushing it over, he just kind of looks down at it, looking over it, and goes, "Okay, yeah, 750,000 sounds fine. I assume this is also included in your bribe, or this is to include your bribe for getting property."
Aye.
Alright, so that'll drop you down to at 650,000. Property tax to get Lady Duskwolf to say yes will be another 50, so that'll profit you about 600,000 GP.
I think that's more than acceptable.
He nods and goes, kind of leans down into his desk, opens a drawer and pulls out a bag of coining and kind of like pours out the coins. As they kind of lay onto the desk, they immediately almost start stacking themselves one after another in the gemstone coloration in stacks of 10 as he kind of does this until he finishes putting the coin bag away and looks up at you and goes, my associates will go ahead and gather the materials from your sled as we speak. This coin should be enough to cover that for the 600,000. And then and as far as the deed, he leans over, or kind of slides over a piece of paperwork that just basically reads, and this isn't to trick you, this is just to save us a lot of time. James, as you kind of look it up and down, it just basically simply reads, I agree I'm looking for property. I am willing to pay the tax and agreements to following all laws, and if under breaking them, I will be taken in for questioning and put to prison if convicted. It's simple what you'd expect of a housing contract in any land. The simple oaths of I swear not to kill anybody or commit any crimes knowingly under punishment of oath. I'm not going to attack the king, royalty, and yada yada. As he kind of slides this over to you and looks at you and goes, this is our standard paperwork. It takes about 3 days to move. If you want to add another 50,000, I can expedite the process.
3 days is fine.
He nods. Beyond that, who will be staying and what housing block would you like to choose? And are you buying a whole? Are you looking to buy a whole block, or are you looking to only buy a section? As many of the areas around here, the villagers live in square forts, not unlike my own building here, with many houses in them. Whole families live in them sometimes, or some cases, multi-families.
I'm looking to set up near the docks, possibly set up a shipbuilding business over there.
Oh, you're just looking for land next to the docks? I can sell you land right outside the walls in that case. It'll be much cheaper in that case as he slides the 25,000 back over to you.
I push it back over and go, no, within the walls.
He nods and goes, I will have to speak with and rub the palms of, an unfortunate individual by the name of Quarrelfist, but beyond that, it shouldn't be an issue. Yes, I think I can process this. 3 days, I should have word back to you. If you're planning to go to Velkomen as the rumors speak, then I should have it, I can send news to your group there. Your business, I believe, is being set up there by the, under the name of the First Flame?
Yes, he'll be the manager for a while.
He nods and goes, fine. That should work, then I will keep that in mind. Future business, anything you do in Knighton or in Velkomen, you come through me if you have questions or you need movement. You understand me?
I will. I understand.
Also,
Can I roll if that was a threat or an offer?
yeah, give me a sense
I
motive.
like to sense motive.
He looks over at you, James, as you two kind of roll sense motive and goes, also, just note, I have some interest in speaking to you in the future should your business do well.
14, goddammit.
That seemed to be both a threat and an honest offer. It's a little hard to tell given this person's personality, but you're pretty sure that it was supposed to be interpreted as both.
Fucking. James is just mentally sighing. The merchant face is still up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, unluckily for you, I don't have a merchant face to speak of.
That's you. You're acting as a guard.
As Mr. Brightway kind of takes your signature. Go ahead, James, sorry.
It'll be pleasant to work with you, I hope.
He nods and kind of catching your comment, or ignoring his offer, and kind of goes, yes, now, if I may ask, as he kind of takes the document and kind of rolls it up and kind of puts his seal to it, he goes, what business do you plan to open in Knighton?
As I said, shipbuilding.
I understand, but you do understand the Woodwalkers hold a dominant control over almost all of the trees in these lands. How do you plan to get your wood?
Oh, I can hopefully work something out for that.
Would you be interested in something more profitable?
Possibly would have you in mind.
10% of your business's earnings in exchange that I guarantee you rights to the forests around Knighton.
Of just the shipbuilding business?
Only the shipbuilding business. We'll speak of, if you expand further, any wood rights will have to be renegotiated.
In James's head, that's a good fucking deal because this is a port city essentially.
Mm-hmm. But again,
and that shipbuilding business could be making bank.
It's true. Remember though, it is a secondary port.
Secondary port or not, this could still end up being. I could set up multiple businesses to just traverse up and down the river.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom was a common sense roll, right? It was wisdom?
Yes, correct. What are you trying to figure out?
Common sensing if he's expecting James to haggle or just expecting him to accept the 10%.
Okay, I'll take it. I would also take a sense motive for that, either one.
I think it'll literally be the same number regardless.
Fair.
I'll roll a sense motive here too. 21.
That's a 22.
Cinder, it definitely feels like he's expecting a haggle, but between the both of you, you're almost 100% sure this is a very good deal. But to note, you haven't heard what the deals with the other merchants are, and you don't know what percentage he's taking from them. The only thing that you've heard in town is that Mr. Brightby is a Monopolist, meaning to James's own educated understanding, means that he is a man who likes to have his finger in everything and holds the power on everything, not allowing other businesses to pop up without his say-so, basically. Cinder, to your knowledge, to kind of explain it, basically he's a greedy pig.
Same.
Simplest way to kind of look at it is like a pig who'd kill to steal the oats.
I'll throw in one other business that I have a thought of, a little travel assistance. Ships going up and down the river might be a bit easier to protect for transportations.
Transportation in these times that is an issue we've had as of recent, bandits and pirates. Tell you what, you take 10% of your shipbuilding, escort business. I'll help you set up with a premium piece of land, guaranteed rights to any metals that come through for secondary pick. I'll take 5% of that business. Can't guarantee first round pick, unfortunately, as we already have another business that has offered and pays quite well annually for that.
James will nod. That's a good fucking deal. In James's mind, I'll have to agree to that. That seems like a lovely deal.
Good. Get what you're thinking written up. I want the organization name, who you plan to have it ran by, and what the actual official business will be. We'll get and if you plan to have any partners or official named backers or owners. Beyond that, once you get that to me, I'll sign off on it. I'll make sure that Lady Duskwolf signs off on the property, and you won't have to pay a upfront fee on those processing. You will, of course, have to pay an upfront fee for the business licensing, but that won't go to me. That'll be straight to Lady Duskwolf in the town.
James will nod.
I'll expect 10 grand of gold or of gemstone pieces on my desk when you come here with the two businesses, and of course I'll assist you with the rest of the paperwork. You won't need to set up managers unless you wish to. Otherwise, I will handle everything.
All right, it's been lovely to talk to you.
He nods. Have a good day, James Ironheart, and Cinder of the Ironheart, as well as Snow of the Ironheart, as he kind of leans over and lightly taps Snow on the head. The chairs immediately spin. Cinder, who's just kind of standing behind you, suddenly now you're facing towards him, as the chair suddenly whoosh over towards the door, leaving Cinder just standing there in the middle of the room.
I'm gonna stroll out.
I'm gonna step up and walk out.
You kind of get up, Snow kind of hopping off, Cinder kind of following up behind you. The chairs go whooshing back, and as the door slams shut behind Cinder, you can hear the growth of and the desk kind of grinding and winding as it does, as the two of you, or rather the three of you, kind of now stand out in the hallway.
Alright, this will be one shop with two businesses in it, so I'll type this up later.
Mm-hmm. Just make a quick note for yourself for later.
I'm posting a blank one into your thing with a typed up business for Knighton.
As you two kind of think for a second, James kind of whipping out his notebook and starting to already write down ideas, Cinder, you can see the green emeralds, like of gemstone pieces in his eyes.
Alright. Well, I guess I have heads to go turn in for fucking, for that quest. For Raider Captain killing.
Yeah.
I'll go with you as well for that.
James kind of taking a second, kind of suddenly shaking his head as the gemstones disappear from his eyes, and he kind of realizes you're walking off slowly and kind of scuttling after to catch up with you.
No, take your time. I'll handle it.
I should stick with you. James looks at you like I will get killed on my own.
Yeah, James looking around, like looking for the unknown blades nearby, and the raiders suddenly gonna pop up.
After that, we can go see the Iron Warden, because I do want to arrange for them to get ship upgrades as well.
I blink at James, because I think James is harder to kill than I am.
Cinder, in your head, the surprise that someone could be more paranoid than you really is honestly a shock. Starting to wonder if it may run in the family, and it may not have been just caused by your time in the dark.
I could drop you off at the ship that you want to meet with. I could leave Snow with you if you're that worried.
Uncle, I will explain all next time we're on ship or somewhere where we don't have creeping eyes.
Oh, Okay, so am I leaving you at the ship, or am I being forced along as a guard?
I'm following you this time. Lead on.
Oh. You know, I'm trying because I can't teleport you with me to go do things.
Oh, I'll just head to the ship then.
I'm gonna bring you to the ship, and then I was gonna teleport to the guild.
Wait, you can Uncle, how'd you figure out teleportation?
I can teleport through ice. It's hard to do, and it won't be useful in other countries, but I can do it here.
Interesting. We might be able to make that useful in other countries.
The dumbest spell name, by the way, out of any spell I have. The Frostfell Slide.
That sounds like a dance move.
Does sound like a dance move.
I'm down with it. Support it.
We'll head to the Iron Warden. I'll talk to Ogden because I have a few things to bring up with him.
If he's even there. With the war going on, I doubt he's there.
As
if he's there.
As you two kind of start heading into town, heading towards the docks, passing by the last fire inn as you do, seeing as Captain Azurus is inside with Wara, Malehel, and Floorsnap celebrating and drinking and dancing and singing as the group seems to do mid-morning, still around this point, as you kind of find yourself walking down the street. The sounds of merchants kind of cheering, the sound of people kind of walking and doing business, the smell of things baking as breakfast is kind of cooked in many of the inns and many of the bakeries. As you lot kind of pass by many of the large, almost, like I said, box fort-like buildings, they kind of seem to catching your eye with the, almost nearly 50 feet tall buildings, kind of as huge as they are, many of them having designs and statues of families and of different giants that seem to kind of inhabit the inside as you pass through. But finally, as you make it to the docks, catching up to the Iron Warden, walking over towards it, you do notice it is completely empty, as only a single person seems to stand on there. What looks to be a snowbeard that looks to be a little bit older than Cinder and James, bit more grizzled looking. His beard very close cropped and cut in certain spaces where you can see clear scars along his face. A bit of what looks to be darkened coloration in his beard, making it clear that he is a bastard of the whatever house as he looks up at you lot. James and Cinder, go ahead and give me a knowledge history or knowledge nobility check, please.
You know, shockingly, druids are not built for history. Better at geography.
You know, fair.
I'm better at geometry with my smithing.
I can actually use buffs out here, so that's nice.
It's true. You are out on the streets.
Be using a buff.
Alright. 19 history.
19 history, okay.
25 history.
You both recognize this as James's older, technically cousin, yes. James is, remembering your mother, one of your mother's younger siblings, who had a son that was a bit older than you, a kind of black sheep of the family, as you remember his name being John Froststone, a well and capable wood craftsman that kind of dishonored the family with his interest in woodcrafting.
James is for all types of crafting, so this doesn't bug him at all.
John. Cinder, just a note, you would recognize this individual as the bastard that attempted to kill James's own parents to try and put himself as the heir to the family.
Just gonna push James behind me before he can speak.
As James kind of goes, "Oh, John," and Cinder kind of stepping in between the two immediately. John kind of looks down. Go ahead.
James thinks the clan's kind of collapsed. He really doesn't have any reason to harm me.
John kind of looks down and smiles and goes, "James! Oh, I can't believe you're alive! Uncle Cinder! Holy, you're alive!"
No thanks to any of you lot. No one even came looking for me.
Hey, at least you got fed! I got kicked out. I found my own way around.
I didn't get fed.
What do you mean? We were told you went off to some island to go hunt with some mercenaries and, got fed some strange berries and just, it never agreed and you didn't come back.
The king sold me.
Shit, that's a lot different than what we were told.
James will mark that on the mental list of all the reasons to get rid of Uthgarum.
John kind of looks up and goes, but hey, good news, James. We've been getting the word out that Eider's gonna be king. And we've been pushing the legitimacy of your own position. The nobles are really responding. The House of Hemeskis is really into it and has stated they're gonna follow up. They've decided to already announce or declare their backing for the James Ironheart and Eider Ironheart kingdom.
James looks perturbed but accepting at this point.
You look at James, and I just go, please don't tell me it's the Eider I think it is.
Do you even remember him, Uncle?
I remember about 7 Eiders. Please clear it up for me.
The one that's weird with magic that we talked about.
They call him
Upside down.
Eider Spellforge if you're not familiar with him.
The one that wants nothing to do with the homeland?
We'll be workshopping that next time I talk to Aitor. We've kind of come to an agreement to possibly put up another option that will be
Oh, I'm sorry.
much more.
I gotta tell you, cousin. I tell you, there's no way. At this point, man slew an adamantine dragon. Did you not hear about his armor called Dracothax? It's literally made of like 4 different dragons. He's said to wear it proudly.
I killed a kobold dragon. Damn.
Yeah, but would you wear that when you're going to negotiate with world leaders and such? And you think a king wants to talk to you while you're wearing his cousin's body as a fucking shield?
James will look at John and go, he's gonna get himself killed, man. Which means that's even more reason for me to have a backup plan.
Oh, Eider's got it. He's the Spellforge himself. He can't lose. I even designed my ship in honor of that armor. As he points down to the Iron Warden, you see the carvings of into the side of the ship that are clear designs of Eider fighting. What looks to be 3 dragons at once. One being a gloom dragon, the other being a cobalt dragon, and the last being an adamantine dragon.
I feel like my thunder's been stolen about the kobold dragon, but that wasn't the main reason I came here. I came here to see if Odgar was here to arrange a point for him to come into Velkomen for upgrades to the ship.
Kind of looks at you and goes, no, Odgar's up at the town of Velkomen right now. He's got a spell circle set up in his in the captain's quarters that takes him right up there. Said that he's been going in and out trying to help out with the front lines. Lithotar apparently hasn't been the kindest of besiegers, cutting off anything that goes near her.
Aye, and that makes sense. She is a god of rot and nature.
Yeah, tell me about it. Reagan's so desperate from what I'm hearing. He asked the collective to send out one of his or one of their notes. I don't know what the damn things are called, but I've heard these things are supposedly they only give them to people who are gonna die. But they pay well. I wish they'd come to me. I would have taken that in a heartbeat.
Timeline put out, James met one of these people who took a bunch of mountain giant meat.
Yep.
He bought a bunch of mountain giant meat in return for battle wine.
Pixie that you don't believe is real.
Well, he hasn't shown up yet because the battle against Lithotar is in a week from now.
Yeah, he showed up here a week ahead of time to purchase the meat.
Yeah.
Was it a week ahead of time specifically? Oh, okay.
You told me it would have been right after the mountain giant fight, because I would have shown up and then left.
Oh, okay, got you, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
my
so-
apologies. Yep. John
It
just
was
looks at you and just shrugs and goes, yeah.
Well, would you mind letting him know that I stopped by to talk about that? Along with, we should get each ship set up with a crystal to contact us when we get back to our main ship.
Oh, we got one of them things too. Here, come on board. I'll show you the captain's quarter. Odgar won't care. Oh, don't mind. He does have a picture of the princess painted up on one of the walls. Said he picked it up in Mana's Grove, and he hasn't stopped staring at the damn thing since.
Once the guy starts to lead, I'm gonna make sure I heard this right. This guy tried to kill James's parents.
Yes.
Once he goes to lead, I'll whisper into James' ear, "You know this guy tried to kill your mom and your dad, right?"
And I don't think he can take me alone at this point.
Just stay behind me.
Oh, okay. Cinder realizing slowly James has a reason for his paranoia.
As he kind of brings you to the captain's quarters, and James, a little paranoid, John just kind of continues talking on and goes, I'm really happy the family kind of fell apart. Now, I don't have to worry about the whole bastard thing and everything. And, now I've seen all the great deeds you did. Honestly, James, I'm your number 2 fan at this point. I mean, I'm number 1 for Ryder, nothing personal, but his deeds are a little more credible. I mean, honestly, have you heard the things that he did? Some people are saying he even tried to take on a god.
22 cents motive to see if he is acting happier than he actually is.
Yeah.
No, this seems to be legitimate. He seems to actually be a fan of James, which is, although is creepy in its own right.
I meant the happy about the clan falling apart and not dealing with it anymore.
Oh, that he does seem very happy about. Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you. Did you see the mountain giant from here that we ended up fighting with the cryptic cabal? A few members from there?
Oh, no. I was, kind of asleep, on the ship when the battle started. That's kind of why I'm here. So there was someone else that was supposed to get guard duty. I guess they decided to leave me here. Looks about.
And have you all had some armor come up missing?
Armor? Not to my knowledge. We had 3 of our members killed, though, recently in a skirmish, a few days before we got here up in King's End. Ran into this group of, snowbeards that we were kind of funny looking. Said they knew you. We thought they were just another company that got popped up, so we went to meet with him, and, what was the name they went by? Frostbeard. Which I thought was kind of a strange name, because I'm sitting here, my name's Froststone, so I thought they were a bastard like me. Frost being the typical bastardized name for whatever your family was doing. And no, turns out they had knives and shit made of this blue ice stuff and just stabbed us. What was that? Good.
They were ferals. They weren't snowbeards.
No, not ferals. These individuals were more capable than that. Cunning individuals, smart. They had beards made of ice, though. And hair made of ice, now that I think about it.
They're regarded as ferals, and we met 3 of them wearing the armor on our trip here.
Huh. That would explain where the armor went, where the bodies went.
Yeah. Had swords made of ice.
Uh-huh.
We'll have to redesign the markings on the armor then later.
Oh, we managed to steal one of the swords. There's a big fella that Odger killed. Seemed to be the leader of the lot before they started, really getting angry and lashing out at us. Kind of looks about as he kind of takes you down into the captain's quarters. Captain's quarters seems very simple. A simple desk, a chair, a very, very rarely used bed that you can clearly see no one's been sleeping in. Off to the side, a little globe that seems to have a crystal stuck into it. That lightly glows. And off to the left, where there's 2 bookshelves that are completely empty, seems to stand a very large portrait of the same Snowbeard you saw in Menace Grove, James.
The princess. I hope she's okay.
Mm-hmm.
She might be dead by now, though.
As John kind of looks over and kind of smiles and goes, "Oh yeah, let me get into the chest here by the captain's bed." As he kind of walks over to the chest at the end of the bed and kind of flips it open. A long great sword made of blue ice kind of seems to sit there and gleam with what looks to be little red runes kind of carved into it of what looks to be a death ore almost immediately. As John kind of
see why it's not used.
pulls the chest open, kind of looks at it, and kind of pulls the cloth from around it, unveiling this and looking at you lot. Goes, Unger says it's cursed to all hell, but I'm gonna be honest. I looked at it, and I said it was probably something that we could use. I'm thinking about trying to implement it into the ship's rudder system. I'm gonna use it as a battery, is my thinking.
It's cursed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Anything with death ore in it is definitely not good.
I wouldn't attach it to the ship. It would possibly spread and make the ship into death ore, which would be horrible for all of you.
I don't know. I mean, I've managed to mess around with the stuff before. I got this thing from this fella. What was his name? He was a weird short fella in it with brown hair. Bargris. Barges, I think
Oh.
was his name.
Shows
Weird
up
name. And he showed me a couple of cool things with his big copper and bronze. Like, he called the contraption an engine. But I'm not sure. Well, it just seemed to blow wind in the damn thing and seemed to move. But I think I could replicate it using the sword as a power source.
James's gears are clicking. What would I roll to
Remember-
see how probable it is he would actually be able to do this, since he's not he's more trained in woodworking than metal.
Give me an appraise check of him or a
And
profession
you worked with
merchant.
Death-
What's up?
Last time you worked with Death or Cameron, you went to literal hell.
Yeah.
The concern on James's face, not because he's worried that he's gonna get hit. The more he doesn't want to see Drawn disappear to hell.
Yeah, it took a lot to get me out of there. 36
As you kind of take
for an
a
appraise check.
look at him up and down, he has 0 skill in craft metalworking, and craft blacksmithing. His only bonus is he has a plus 20 to his craft woodworking. So as you kind of take guesstimation, you give him 1 in about 1,000 odds.
John, if you could plan this out, that'd be great. But we should probably have someone more seasoned in metalworking work with it.
Oh, I know. I've
Given
already
I've
got
seen what that ore can do to somebody.
If the ore is where the power's coming from, I could probably work the ore out of the ice.
Well, I've got to work in blueprint. I was just gonna power it up. Later tonight after I had a few drinks in case things went, south.
Oh my god, thank god we
Don't
came.
do that.
What do you mean?
You could end up... John, I've been to hell because of lyrium. Death War. Don't power this up anywhere near a settlement.
Hey,
Or with anyone else on board. Or even at all with the ship. It is not safe.
You're acting like, listen, you gotta try and experiment, and otherwise that's the only way you can learn.
While I agree with you on that part, push your ideas somewhere else. How about... James is going to stroke his beard for a moment. I saw an interesting thing that might interest you. It's mostly made out of wood and would be much more applicable to the ship.
The tungsten wood.
There's that, and there is the idea of bringing crossbows down to be more handheld, as we saw with Justophilus.
Wrong character.
Wrong. The big robot flying thing.
Jastro?
You don't know what a robot is. Try again.
Big metal flying thing.
There we go.
Jastro. Right?
Chasteros, yes.
Chasteros.
Yeah, I remember.
Chasteros had, where he was using a ballista as a ranged weapon by hand.
Kind of looks at you, and John kind of eyeing you up and down and goes, yeah, sure. So about my bronze contraption. So I'm going to do, I was thinking, as far as it goes, if you guys want to help me with the contraption, we can go start it up tonight and see if it'll work. Because trust
John?
me. Yes? I mean, I built
That
this
is not
ship. What?
You built the ship, and it's a beautiful ship, and
I
I
know
hate to
it
have
is.
anything happen to it.
Oh, nothing will happen to my baby. He'll be fine. By the way, you came in here for something. Oh, sorry, what was it you were looking for?
The crystal setup to
Oh.
make sure that we could connect with the ship as needed.
Yes, the globe. Oh, he kind of covers the sword back into cloth, tying it up real quick, closing the chest again, and kind of standing up as he walks over to the globe.
And we'll discuss the engine idea over drinks tonight. How does that sound?
Sounds fantastic.
Along with the idea of the shrunken ballistas.
Sure. Yeah, the shrunken ballistas. Here, as he kind of walks over to the globe and pulls from a small drawer underneath it and kind of grabs one of three crystals and hands it to you and goes, if you've got one of these contraptions, these globe things, you just stick the crystal in and they're like a sending token. In a sense, it sends a message only to this crystal that can be played at any point by activating the thing. It only works once a day from my understanding, but it's better than nothing.
That'll work. Thank you.
He nods
As
and he
James
goes,
will tuck that away.
And if you're looking to buy one of these, there's a merchant in town that's selling them. He's covering the whole battle with Lithotara. His name, what was it? Oh, Odger told me it. Daka. That's it, Daka.
Oh dear God.
James has met Daka briefly.
He's got a young wizard that's following him around that's offering these things at a premium of around 20,000 gold pieces for it, from what I was seeing. But, hey, listen, to be honest, I think they're worthwhile.
Oh,
Cameron,
they
you
certainly
met
are.
You also know that Nar became a paladin because of Daka.
No, Daka's chill.
And he looks at you, John kind of looks at you and goes, but, beyond that, the only other thing we have, I can show you the spell circle if you're looking to go to Velkomen, but I don't have any magic capable of activating it.
I mean, taking a look wouldn't hurt me. I just won't get close enough to activate it, as I may have magic available.
He nods and goes, follow me down below. The captain's quarters is two decks for the storage down, mostly where we keep all the valuables. As he kind of like opens up a latch and starts walking down.
I will follow him down.
As you do, John kind of smiles, kind of looking up at Cinder and goes, "Oh, and don't touch my sword."
Okay, I won't.
But if you come on down here, there's, as you kind of like see in the center of the room, a large, what looks to be pamphlet, kind of seems to be set out about 8 feet in diameter. That seems to have a large magical spell drawn on it. And as you look it over, it looks to have some strange runes that at this point, again, James, you've seen enough Abyssal to kind of catch the rough end of it. This looks like someone's carved it straight or copied it straight from one of the ruins in these territories.
That's mildly worrying.
But John just kind of looks at you as he walks over towards it and kind of looks down at it and goes, "This is how we've been getting from Knighton to Velkomen throughout the day. Works about twice a day. From my understanding, Odger's not coming back till tomorrow, so if you wish to use it, you're welcome to."
How much can it transport at once would be the only question, then.
Transported 29 of our members plus full gear, so somewhere around, I don't know, 15,000 pounds of gear.
I would get not everything, but chunk away at it. But why don't we go for that drink?
He kind of looks at you and goes, "It's mid-morning. I'll join you in the evening once I've done my rounds and my chores."
All right. Promise me you won't start up that engine till after we talk.
Sure. I mean, I've got enough work of scrubbing and such that I have to do. I don't think I'll have time until this evening to do anything else.
Lovely to see you again, John.
He smiles at that and goes, "Oh, you too, James. By the way, thanks again for the job. It's much better than being a slave."
Don't just make me thank Nar for freeing you all, too.
Well, just remember, James, one day you're going to be king. You're going to make a good king.
Mentally, James, like, not on anyone's life will I be king. I'm putting a puppet there.
As you kind of start walking up, about roughly, yeah. All right. As you kind of start walking out, John just kind of looking at both of you, looks about and kind of smiles and goes, "Oh, if you need the spell circle again, if you change your mind, let me know. But otherwise, you're welcome to go and find your way to the inns. I don't know if Odger's going or has any men stationed in town, if I'm honest. So if you find any, let me know."
Oh, I will, and if you see him, let him know I was looking to talk to him.
Of course. as he kind of
Have a
walks
good day,
you out.
John.
Yeah, as he walks you out to the captain's quarters onto the top deck and kind of over towards the plank as he kind of stands watching you climb down. And as soon as you guys get onto the dock, he seems to pull the gangplank back up and begins to start scrubbing away again as he grabs a mop and bucket.
James will walk with Cinder going towards the guild, I guess, since teleportation's definitely off the table now.
Oh, can't teleport other people.
I'm a little worried he's gonna blow up the ship.
If he doesn't, I'll steal the sword later tonight.
I'll try to invite him off for drinks, and you can deal with it then.
Yeah, I'll try.
As the two of you though start heading, I assume towards the inn.
Yeah.
All right. As you start heading towards the Last Fire Inn, kind of heading into town as you do. Again, this still mid-morning as you kind of pass through a large party being held in the kind of entrance as well as most of the tavern of the Last Fire Inn as you come in. Drekken flying about as he does the small air Cochrane that is literally as I wrote tit-like TIT. For those who are not familiar with the bird, please look it up. And as he kind of seems to be fluttering about, serving giants and the guards, as well as many of the locals, seeming to kind of catch you two coming in, kind of stops flutters over, and goes, "Oh, James, of the Ironheart, and I don't know your compatriot, so I'm going to assume he's an employee. How can I help you?"
Just some food for now, Drekken. Thank you.
Food in a room, or just food in a booth, or food in standing?
Food in a booth.
Alright, pick a booth, and enjoy yourself. By the way, keep in mind we got a couple of locals coming through, as well as some adventurers and mercenaries coming through, so it might get a little rowdy in here.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, Drekken.
He nods up as you look about heading over towards one of the booths in the far corner of the room. So you kind of sit down, you and Cinder. Drekken kind of seems to flutter over, dropping off some what looks to be some dark fireboar stew, as well as some ale, kind of fluttering back to his customers to leave you two at the table.
Don't mind me while I cast my usual spell of detect poison, because some one of us already got poisoned today.
That's fair.
I didn't even get a chance to save against that. I have a bonus against poisons.
Makes you scared that it should let you know that you couldn't have made the save.
It does, and it makes me very, very nervous. I probably won't use their rooms again.
It was just a calming gas. What do you mean?
Yeah,
No
calming.
one told you were poisoned.
Yeah, you were poisoned and calm.
It was my anxiety medication.
Basically. But Cinder,
I should see about getting that in pill form.
as you check for poison, nothing seems to come up in the stew or the ale. As you kind of sniff at it and double check, cast the magic kind of lightly glowing. The stew looks to be fine. The ale kind of coming out the same.
That's good. That's good.
Snow seems to immediately seeing it glow, starts steals, kind of pulls the bowl over to them and kind of starts licking the at the stew.
That's fine. That's fine.
But so we have to turn those heads in still. We have to see if we can turn in the hellhounds here as well, unless we have to go back up to the common for that.
I mean, either way, it's not a big deal, right?
Not particularly. This will be quite a payday for us.
Anything else specific we need to do for you in town?
Not particularly. The offloading of those portions of the goods was more than enough.
As James kind of takes a second thinking, Drekken kind of fluttering back over. I'll look at both of you as he stops and goes, I assume you came, or you need something, or wanted something? I was
Oh.
kind of informed by the Bright Collective you'd be looking for me.
Yeah. Few quest completions. We wanted to ask where we had to turn them in,
Oh,
whether in the town we did or.
what jobs did you do?
Let's see. We got some. Well, I don't really like using gods' names. Enemy god, guard captain heads, raiders and the like.
Okay.
Some hellhounds.
The Health Hounds, I think that was a quest from Velcomen, right?
Yes.
Aye.
I think that was registered at about 10,000 gold pieces per head.
Sounds right.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely do it. It'll take us about a day to get the gold together. As you can imagine, that's not exactly easy. Given how many heads do you have?
49.
Yeah, that's going to take me a little bit to gather together, but sure, I can get the 490,000. And what other jobs have you done?
I'm pulling up the quest name and everything. It was called Officer Hunting. I still have the paper, fucking in character. I'll lay out the Officer Hunting quest paper.
As he kind of looks over it and goes, Officer Hunting. Is this from King's End?
Indeed.
He nods and goes, let me think. I don't know if we're registered to, deal with those contracts, but, I think I can get that routed over. It's about, 75,000, 125,000, something like that?
75. It's the guard captains, not knights.
As he kind of looks over the document and kind of seeing it and goes, well, it's backed by by Regan Utham. Yeah, we can take care of it here. How many heads do you have and of what rankings? Or do you even know?
We know they were captain rank because I believe Rolleman confirmed that when the fight started. And I have to check how many storm giant bodies we had because that's how many guards we
I
got.
think it was like 6.
It was 5.
It was 5. Okay.
Yeah, because the rest were, it was like 16 bog giants, I think.
Yep. So I have 5 storm giant heads.
He goes, okay, so 75,000 times 5. Okay, thanks for a second as he does the math.
Extremely important arithmetic for this age.
So that would be a total of... Yeah, it takes a second. Goes 865,000 gold pieces earned, if all counts. Yeah, we should be able to do that. It'll take me a full day to gather that much gold from the collective, as well as the confirm it with Regan. But if you have the materials to prove that you've done the quest and don't mind submitting yourself to a detect thoughts, we can have this taken care of quickly.
We have the materials, just thought it wasn't proper to just lay them out.
I do appreciate you not leaving just body parts on my bar. It does come in handy when people are a little bit more kind about that. As he looks over his shoulder towards the cryptic cabal who are celebrating.
Yep.
We can take you outside then and show you.
Is that your sled parked out back?
The 3 of them that are connected? Yes.
The sled train.
You know, some of the guards have been standing out there all day with it. They told me that they were waiting for someone to come by and pick it up. I guess that was you lot.
Apologies.
There's no issues. I was just wondering why it was being guarded. Yeah, I can follow you out back. Here, we can go through the kitchen. So as he kind of like starts to look towards you two and kind of expecting you to get up to follow him.
James
Yeah,
will get up
I'm just
and
gonna
follow.
leave Snow to enjoy their food.
The Snow kind of just sits there eating. You see as soon as you walk following over to the kitchen door, looking back, you see a Snow seems to look at you. Look as you kind of look like you're about to close the door, and you kind of walk through. Immediately, as you look back out, you see as Snow is drinking the one of your ales. Sorry, I was taken aback because I just noticed something that James did that caught my attention. James, did you create a new sheet today?
No.
That's okay. We'll talk about that after session. Okay. Sorry, your name, for some reason, your character sheet has re-registered as an update on my search results, which is not normal. So, alright, we'll talk about that post-session. But Snow kind of licks at the ale, seemingly as soon as you stick your head back out, Cinder, you see it locking eyes. Snow immediately stops, looks at you, and goes back to looking at the stew.
There's gonna be a drunk cat, god damn it.
But as you kind of head back to the back of the inn through the kitchen, a few trolls and frost giants working away as they seem to be cutting up chunks of meat, working as they do, pouring ale from large casks. But as you follow all the way to the back, you see as Drekken kind of as he walks out, looking over, or pointing over towards the guards, they're kind of standing next to the large three sleds, kind of connected to each other. About 6 guards standing there watching you. What's up, James?
Piled high with shit.
Yep,
Just
pile
a lot
hot.
of
Well,
stuff.
as you look at it, you notice the materials you sold of the bog giants are already gone. As you kind of look, do a quick calculation over it.
Perfect.
As you kind of take a second, you see as Draken kind of looks over at you and then looks back at the sled and looks back at you and goes, "Jesus, is this all yours?"
Aye, the travels were fruitful.
I can tell.
As I will go get the 5 storm giant heads out and set them down,
He nods and goes,
and point to the pile of hellhound pelts and pull out the 49 paws. Taking their heads wasn't exactly an option. We had to flee from an apex.
he nods at that and he goes, "Huh, okay. Well, I mean." He kind of start looking through the leather and kind of starts counting the heads as he flutters around for a
The
second.
paws.
Yeah. Kind of looking at the storm giant heads and goes, "Well, it's all here. I'll start." And the guards kind of seeing you, kind of start to clear and walk away almost immediately as you walk over. Draken kind of flutters back over towards you and goes, "I guess you're not lying. I'll get you the gold. Are you planning to stay in town for the day?"
We can do that, certainly.
Perfect. If you're going to be in town, I can get you the 865,000 gold. Definitely after this. As he kind of takes a second, looking about, or kind of pulling one of the heads off and beginning to drag it over.
I'll help him move the heads wherever he needs.
As you kind of slowly follow him back through the kitchen and taking another corner or into his office, where it looks pretty sparse. A couple of tables, some chairs, a couple of bookshelves, some statues, some art. Nothing really that catches your attention as you kind of follow him over towards a box that seems to have other heads kind of piled up in it. As you start tossing them in, they seem to begin to immediately notice a magic kind of cast over them as one by one, as you bring the paws and the heads of the storm giants in, the paws of the hellhounds, of course. As you do, kind of Drekken finally kind of at the end smiles up at you and goes, "Yeah, I appreciate it. Usually I have to do all this work myself."
Well, it's better to be kind to those that you do business with.
Tell me about it. I wish everyone else listened to that, though. Ugh. I tell you, after all these giants... By the way, you lot helped in the defense of the city, correct?
Aye, the mountain giant corpse we took claim of afterwards.
Ah, okay. I assume you took that as payment with the guard captain, then.
Perfectly fine accepting that as payment.
Because if not, I mean, you're gonna have to go take it up with him.
I'll go handle discussions with him about it.
And when you meet Vind, good luck. Oh, don't mention that he's short.
I'll do my best not to. Looking at myself and then looking... Just doing a look down at myself, then looking at the giants out through the door. I don't think that'll be a problem.
Well,
Everyone here is taller than me, about.
He nods and goes, "Understandable. Good luck." As he kind of leads you back into the tavern over towards your table, where you see Snow, who has fully tipped over the ale cup of cinders and emptied it, as well as eaten both these stews as you kind of come over to sit down. Currently purring and rolled over and curled up, the creature seems to snore silently. As you two kind of sit down, Drekken kind of catching the attention, realizing the meals have been eaten and bringing over fresh plates as he takes and clears the table.
James will eat his slowly, and then go, "We have to go talk to the guard captain for night and to see about the mountain giant corpse and accepting that as payment." Even though I figured, may as well, we already kind of took ownership of it at this point.
Cinder kind of looks at you for a second. We're going to take a quick moment because I think he stepped away, so we'll be right back. Just to catch you up, Cinder. So yes, as you kind of helped, or James unloaded the items with Drekken, kind of getting everything set up in his office, and let James know that you're gonna have to go collect the bounty or I guess bounty for helping the city in the siege earlier against the mountain giant from Vind, the guard captain. To which James lightly just explained that.
All right.
Basically claiming it as a reward instead of asking for cash.
You also got 865k confirmed earned in your quest.
Beautiful.
But Drekken did confirm that you guys would have to stay in town a day to get
Collect.
that gold. Yeah.
I think that was the plan anyway, to be fair.
Fair.
Yeah.
But as you two are now sat down at the table
Your
or at the
catapulted.
booth once more, your Snow, having managed to drink through both ales as well as eat both stews, is drunkenly purring and kind of curled up in the corner of the booth.
Yeah, it's normal.
As Drekken brought out fresh stew and ale for you two to kind of sit and talk as he kind of fluttered off, leaving you two to it, basically.
All right. I guess what's the plan for the next day then?
Well, one, we have to make sure that John doesn't destroy the Iron Warden.
It's given.
Two, we'll have to go handle the guard captain and claim the mountain giant as our reward.
You can handle that shortly.
And-
Yeah.
And then, reality-wise, I don't believe we have much else. We can see if there's anything else of interest. I'll also probably have to conscript some builders for building the business if... I also should probably hold interviews for people who are going to run the store.
I mean, yeah, between your new businesses, got to find some shipwrights. Probably not going to be fun in a land like this.
No, but it'll take time for the building to be built anyways.
Suppose it's fair enough. All right. Sure. Yeah. Once you go drinking, I'll handle the business. I should be able to lift the entire chest.
I don't know if the chest can be put in one of our bags of holding either, so don't attempt it. Because the sword looked a lot bigger than the chest, I take it.
No, the sword fit to the chest.
No, I checked. The chest is 15 feet long.
Okay, I was making sure because I did not want a chest of holding entering a bag of holding and having problems.
No, people are just going to see Cinder as a little snowbird fly off the ship holding a 15-foot-long chest and walk away.
It's gonna be fucking amazing. There's also the fact that if we could just start putting all these stuff into the ship. But I'd rather not try and open that up down here. It could cause problems and it get shot out of the sky without the proper setup.
Rather just leave the ship shut until we get the crew anyway. Easier that way.
As James suddenly realizes he can't fly this ship without at least a skeleton crew.
Oh, James knew that, but turning it into storage and then hopefully shrinking it back down was a thought, but he doesn't have the magic for that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he'd have to pay the druids for help and...
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
but the
it
point is
just
without the
take
crew,
longer.
we can't even load the ship because the ship's so heavy.
Well, if he survives, then in a week or two we should have someone able to lift and load the stuff onto the ship.
Oh yeah, that's a horrifying guy to just be loading your ship.
He was very grotesquely muscular.
Sounds about right for someone on a suicide quest.
I mean, his hand looked like it could bench press me.
Goddamn. As you kind of mention this over drinks as the two of you are enjoying, yeah, as the morning kind of turns to a bit more of an afternoon, time kind of goes on. Are you guys just gonna relax in the tavern till John eventually shows up, or?
We'll eat our meal first, then go handle the business with the guard captain, I think.
Okay. Yeah, as you kind of finish up your meal, around at this point, kind of hitting noon by this point in the day, as you head out into the streets, heading back towards the western wall or gatehouse, where the barracks are mostly kind of set up, and the and the barracks captain is typically known to be being the guard captain himself. So you head over towards the building, seeing the large. Sort of almost stair-like shaped design with its three tiers, one standing almost here, let me actually get my note so I actually have it written down here because I have it written down here. Yeah, one standing nearly wow, only, okay. 50 feet tall at the very back with a 40-foot tall door. The second section standing around 30 feet tall with a 20-foot tall door. And the last being a 15-foot high ceiling with a 13-foot tall door. Which, yes, I know, James, you can't reach the doorknob of any of them easily.
No, but I would make sure I give Drekken a tip, too, because he is handling a lot.
Okay.
Don't worry, DM.
16 gold pieces going right into his hand next time as we leave.
As you kind of take off and head towards the road, what was that, Cinder? What was the don't
When
worry?
I get to the door that we can't open, I'm gonna walk up the wall to open the shortest door.
God damn it. Alright, as you walk over to the shortest door, knocking on it, or going to go for it, give me a strength check to see if you can push it open.
I'm a strong lad for what I am.
Hopefully.
Oh, especially if I nat 20.
Ooh.
24.
As the door pushes open, you see as it opens up on the other side, a desk almost immediately, bunks kind of scattered to either side of the desk. A short-looking figure of about 2.5 feet tall, white-skinned, almost albino-like, and almost ice-like hair. You recognize an Arctic beard kind of sitting there in a heavy bit of leather armor. No weapon on him whatsoever that you can see, but as he kind of looks about, a few giants kind of mingling off to the right as you kind of close the door behind you and enter. That seem to be kind of standing over towards where the roof is a bit taller. Some other races seemingly mingling amongst the guards, all wearing the same uniform of this leather kind of outfit and carrying varied weapons. But as the dwarf, or the snowbeard, or rather, the dwarf looking up from the desk kind of looks over at you, his ice-cold glare kind of catching your attention, and jumps down from his chair, and as he stands at 2.5 feet, looks up at you, James, and goes, "And what can I do for you?"
I'm here to speak with the guard captain about about us having offered assistance during the siege.
And you don't assume someone as tall as myself could be the guard captain?
I don't assume who is. That's why I was going to ask if you were.
You did kind of approach us first.
I don't like you telling me what I'm approaching, so you can keep your mouth shut.
My gaze is just as cold as his is, literally.
My name is Vind. I'm the guard captain here, and I will not have any disrespect in my barracks. What can I do you for?
Of course, Captain Vind. Well, we were hoping to just ask if we could claim the mountain giant corpse as our reward for assisting with the siege.
Ah, yes, the ones who fought at the siege. You lot managed to do... He kind of walks over to his desk and flips through a ledger and kind of looks up at you. You're the ones who cut the golden dick.
I did, and I'm proud.
I must ask, is it a personal interest, or is it like a
Purely business.
And looks between you and Cinder, nods and goes, "Interesting. How do you I don't...
If you're thinking, stop it.
How does one climb onto it? Do you use a ladder or a stepping stool?
I wouldn't know. I'm an adventurer merchant, so I just know someone who would pay top coin for it.
There are people who... The world really is filled with strange things. All right. That's fine. I have no problem. I had no interest in truly paying you for the work, as you lot kind of butchered our enemies before we could even confirm anything. So that works for me. May I ask who you are?
James of the Ironheart Merchant Company.
Kind of takes a second and looks you up and down and goes, interesting, so you're not lying. And by chance, have you ran into any red-eyed fellows recently?
One or two.
I narrow my eyes.
And he narrows his eyes back at you and goes, and you are again, as he looks at James.
James of the Ironheart Merchant Company.
Alright. We have caught a few of these little bastards lying and mixing up their identities a few times, so you'll have to forgive my continuous pestering here. I'm just doing what's best for the town.
Perfectly understandable, sir.
I don't like your tone. Anybody ever tell you you have a punchable face?
I have times.
My uncle has, my friend has, quite a few people actually.
Son, that was not to be that was a rhetorical comment. You're... okay. He kind of puts his fingers to the bridge of his nose as he pinches it and goes, sure, yes, the mountain giant corpse payment is fine. Is there anything else that you'd like to curse me with this day?
No, thank you for your time.
It has not been a pleasure meeting you, James.
I sincerely apologize for that. As I leave, I do leave him a... I don't actually want to leave... No, that feels like a bad idea in this instance. Never mind, I'm shutting up.
With his personality, he'll assume it's a bribe if you don't.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching that. That feels like I'll get shivved.
Looking into your coin purse, looking up at Vind, whose back is turned towards you, realizing this individual has a temper, and kind of closing your coin purse and walking out the door. You realize you made the right decision.
Pay other individual guards and get on the good side of everyone else.
As you head out into town once more, you're kind of left there. Now with the ship in hand, your quest turned in, all of your kind of dealings done. Is there anywhere else your lot would like to hit before, I assume heading off to Velcomen?
One, we have to wait the day out anyways to
It's true.
make sure John doesn't destroy the Iron Warden.
That is true.
And collect our payment. Secondly, I'll get contact about it, and then I'll have to arrange for construction, so
okay.
That'll be a pain I can come deal with later.
Alright. As the two of you start to head back to the inn, Cinder, you had somewhere else you wanted to visit in town.
No, not yet.
No? Alright. As the two of you head back, kind of waiting back at the inn once more, a few hours go by until finally around about 4-ish in the afternoon, John finally shows a smile on his face as he kind of walks in, jolly, a little bit of smoke and ash kind of covering his face as he kind of wipes it off, walking over to Drekken, grabbing an ale, and kind of walking over to you lot to sit at the booth with you, and kind of smiles as he scoots in next to James and goes, well, hey there, cousin and uncle. Kind of. Kind of looks at Cinder and looks him up and down and goes, I guess technically you're my uncle, but you're not my uncle. Wait, I gotta ask, you're not a treasure horn, are you?
I'm not in anything nowadays.
Kind of nods at that and goes, that's deep, brother, that's deep. By the way, I met this interesting cat fella in town while I was working away at scrubbing the poop deck and everything. Called himself Crump Senior. Asked if he could join me for dinner. I said I was getting drinks with my cousin, and that I'd be busy. But he said he'd come by and say hi to you. He said he knew you lot. Name's what was it? Sound like Rump.
He said his name just a minute ago, Crump Senior. James is just looking at him.
As you see his eyes kind of glitter over slightly for a moment, almost a red film kind of covering them for just a second, and goes,
I lean over to James. I'll wait outside and I'll deal with it.
Oh, okay, Uncle. I'll try to convince him that this is that the idea of the engine is terrible right now.
But yeah, cousin, I mean, the ale's here is really good. Here, have another cup with me. As he
I'll drink with him steadily.
Yeah, as you see him kind of call over to Drek and they pour another round as you two start drinking. Cinder kind of lightly excusing himself as he slowly kind of slides off the bench and heads out. As the two of you continue to talk, Cinder, we're gonna jump over to you first. As you head out of the inn, standing outside, you see as the roads seem almost kind of silent. The skies quiet, the wind not blowing. Seems awkwardly still as the figure you'd expect be standing there seems to stand there in his nobleman's outfit, a bright blue and green kind of mixed together, a strange twisted what looks to be like wooden knot kind of tied around his neck as a almost holy symbol that he somewhat has covered, somewhat not. A few items around his belt, what looks to kind of catch your attention of a dagger that seems to give off enough magic aura that it doesn't even require you to kind of make a check, giving off a strong transmutation, almost to the point of overwhelming, as he kind of stands in the middle of the road looking at you, Cinder, as you walk out.
You got a lot of nerve. I respect that.
Oh, don't try me, Cinder. If I wanted to wipe out this town, it would be seconds.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly that point of why not speak candidly to you? If you could kill me, you would have done it already.
True that, as he nods.
So, I gotta ask before we deal with anything else, does your family just not like us? Like all of them?
You know,
have we done something to you?
When I was a young man, Cinder, I used to like betting on dog races. Wolves that the druids would toss out into the sands to sprint to see how far they could get, and we'd bet on whichever one would last the longest without water, or whatever one would find water fastest. The family wasn't very wealthy back then, as you can probably imagine. But through that, I gained my own wealth and gained some power, and through grit and grind, like your dear compatriot, your nephew, that you so call, I did similar to what he did. Honestly, it reminds me a lot of myself in my youth. So, it's not so much that you've done something to be a problem to my family. It's more my family recognizes James for the same thing they recognize me as their patriarch. He is a threat, a problem to their way of life, and something that will take from them as much as I will. Another ruthless beast that sees no care or courtesy. But
I can respect that.
I assume you didn't come here. You aren't standing here prepared to die in this moment to ask me that simple question.
No. Pleasantries and simpler questions first, you understand.
It's true. Allow me to ask one of my own. You lot have associated yourself with Judge Kix Morin. I have my main question with this is you can choose to deny it. I know you have. I know the contracts you have. I want to know what the depth of your relationship is. And if you can't tell me, I'll drag James out here by his ears.
He keeps bothering us.
So he's not a courtesy or a friend that you're trying to win over?
We've asked him about 4 times to stop coming and meeting with us.
And what would you be willing to pay to ensure he did?
What could you possibly want from me?
Your eye.
I want to make a fair point to him. My eye doesn't do anything once it leaves my head. I know which one you want. Once it's out, it uncurses itself.
And Crump should be a high enough caster to recognize that.
Why? You know it doesn't do anything once it leaves my skull.
Curios are the collection of those who are immortal. I'm curious about what you will do, and I wish to see it with your own eyes, if you will.
And ignore the creepy wording of how you're probably going to watch through what I do through my eyes. But you could just describe me anyway. It doesn't really matter. Well, I think about the horrifying deal of you ripping out my eye. Can I ask a side question? Not super in-depth, not super probably related to as much what you care about.
It's your life on the line.
Yeah. No, I know. Is there a reason your son, well, I don't know if he's your son. He goes by Crump Jr. Was willing to steal in a land that you work for even though he's terrified of you?
Every Crump is as opportunistic as the one they were born from. My kin see no problem or fear as long as they have an opportunity. They respect no laws. They respect no rules. They are ruthless as I am. They just know when a bigger beast is around, and unfortunately, when you grow to a certain size, small things nibble at your toes, as it were. As you can imagine, similarly to your own escapades. The stronger you become, the more creatures try to chew at the fat that you create. Zurus, was it not a good example of this? As Crump kind of leans and looks into the tavern.
Suppose so. Alright. So let me get the deal straight. You take my eye. It's not hard for me to guess which eye you want. And I'm going to make sure, do I lose my class if he takes this eye? Because the eye does hinge on the class.
It will, yes.
Can't get my eye.
This kind of looks at you and goes, "No, that's just the cost of what it takes to remove your kicks. My business is nothing with you today. You just chose the wrong time to walk out of the tavern."
Well, no, I came out of the tavern to talk to you. Was worried after the, our associate's eyes suddenly turned red.
To be fair, this entire town is already under my control. I do that wherever I go. It's a, what do you call it? An assurance. I don't like being seen, and I don't like people knowing what I'm doing, but for some weird reason, your nephew, have a really strange ability of getting into the worst situations of every mastermind's plan, if you will. Me, the Morins, Regan Utham. I mean, honestly, it's like you lot are destined to be, as funny as it might be, as the stories like to call it, heroes.
Inside, James feels shiver down his back.
Trust me. I'm as amazed as you are in how he keeps walking into things. It's not on purpose, which shocks me even more.
Embrace fate, but I am not here to deal with you lot. I'm only passing through and ensuring that you're not going to cause problems with my heir. But it seems that business has been dealt with, and his captain, for as stupid as he is, has already dealt with the situation. So, me and you have no business. Me and your captain have no business. If you allow me to pass without incidents, which I imagine you're not looking for, well, I don't think I really need to specify, then we can be about our day, and I can continue to go and help Regan Utham from watching his city fall to a god. As it'd be very bad for all of our businesses if he suddenly died.
I'll step out of the way. Please be my guest. I have other things to go deal with. As I'll start walking off towards the Iron Warden ship.
If you're hoping to get the sword, he's already stuck it in the big block of engine, and it's already got working.
Oh, that fucking idiot. As I start running towards the ship.
So inside, as James is explained by John, how he's already stuck the sword into the engine and began working it to prove that it would work as a concept, and has left it running.
You're going to cause a fucking explosion.
And
Not if I have anything to say about it.
John just looks at you and
It is
smiles.
going to level the city.
Oh, I've only done that twice before. It's fine.
How the fuck are you still alive?
I was born with the family's audacity to tell death no. That, and I'm very bad at making deals, and I think death has stumbled into one.
John, dear cousin, dear relative of mine, you know this wouldn't just affect you. This would damage Utham, the business, us.
I mean, the voices in my head said it would be fine, so...
Oh dear God.
It's a cool voice. He calls himself, Ray Plasties? Big dragon thing that speaks to me in my dreams.
God damn it.
God fucking damn it. Mentally, James is like, who the fuck is that? That does not sound like any dragon, because I'm guessing he gives a light description of it.
Give me a knowledge history. He did not give a light description of it. He just named the name, and that was a dragon.
Can I argue religion?
Sure, I'll take a religion. Before anybody blames him, Wolf has nothing to do with this.
I think
Oh no, I'm blaming Zilpip and Zilpip solely. Wolf has nothing to do with this. I understand that. 21.
There is no known dragon but with a name that unique.
That's... Don't listen to that dragon anymore, my friend, my cousin. I don't think it's as it appears.
Oh, he gave
So
me...
for your betterment, it'd be better to ignore it.
He gave me a great idea. He said if I'm, that someone kind of try and stop the thing, so I should prepare it with a bunch of these spells. And he taught me how to carve them into the ground. So I was doing that for most of the time while you guys were gone.
Didn't you also promise me that you wouldn't do that, though?
No, I said...
Yes.
I said sure, while I was doing something else.
You agreed to not start the engine till we had talked about it more in depth.
Oh no, you're right. I did say you're correct. I did say sure. And we did talk about it right afterwards, and so I assumed that we were good, and so I started it up. Because you kind of told me, hey, we'll talk about it again at the tavern or at the inn. And so I assume that's what you meant, that was the second part of the talking, so I figured that was cool right after that.
No, the second part of the talking was going to happen here.
Oh! Hey, well, it's not like anybody's gonna stupidly rush onto the ship and activate magic on it right now. I mean, that would be horribly dumb.
Might, because that thing is made of something very culturally significant to him as a druid.
As we jump over to Cinder. Cinder, as you're rushing... Huh?
I'm thinking the ship.
As you're rushing through the streets, kind of running over in broad daylight towards the docks, a few people kind of pass by you, kind of ignoring you as they do, but giving you wide berth. As Crump fades into the distance, as you kind of spend your time though rushing through the streets, finally coming to the docks, you see as the ship seems to be making a loud, almost a roaring sound coming from it. As you kind of come up to the docks, seeing the ship lightly vibrating.
Well, as Cinder doesn't know what the fucking engine is, and I do not, and there's death ore in the engine. I'm gonna do what I hate doing and pray.
Okay, and who are you gonna pray to, or what are you praying for?
Who do you think I'm gonna pray to?
Oh, hey, you can PM me it to make sure. Because it's better if you name it than let me assume. Let me see. Okay. Yeah. So what are you gonna pray for, or what are you gonna say?
I wasn't planning to ask for anything because I haven't earned my keep yet. Please don't let a lyrium-filled whatever an engine is ruin all of my hard work. So fulfill my dream, please.
As you send up a quiet prayer, looking at the ship vibrating, kind of do a little bit of a sigil in the air, and then start walking over towards the ship. Are you doing this cautiously, or are you just rushing on?
Of course I'm cautious. I don't know what the fuck is happening. Also, do you want to relief roll for the prayer?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Knowledge, religion, or I'll take a wisdom check. Either one will work.
Nat 20 for a 32.
Whoo, fuck, alright.
I have a good religion. I needed it for the character.
I'll keep that in mind. Okay. As you start to climb onto the ship cautiously and slowly, feeling the gangplank shaking slightly as you climb aboard, you feel as the ship continues shaking lightly as you stand on top of on the top deck, looking about. No other crewmen in sight.
I think he mentioned earlier he said he was going to attach it to the rudder, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I know where I'm looking.
She head over towards the ladder down and start climbing down to the the bottom floor of the ship, the third floor of it, where the storage and most of the closest to the rudder would be. Coming down, there are torchlights kind of lit on either side, as well as arcane runes that seem to glow on the floor. Give me a spellcraft check, real quick, as you head down, or as you come to the third floor.
Good at spells. I just don't know if he's good enough for Zilpip runes. 24.
You see the bunch of what looks to be strange spell circles on the ground. As you kind of take a moment looking at them, each of them seem to be a spell called Dimension Door.
Are these a bunch of things that if I step on them, I'm going to randomly teleport everywhere?
You are almost 100% sure that if you get within 20 feet of this or what you assume to be the large cloud or shadowy figure in the background that seems to almost absorb the light, you're going to be tossed somewhere.
Fucking hell. And there's no way around these spell circles, is there?
On the ground? No. On the side of the walls, there's nothing carved into the walls.
How high do the walls go? Because you said within 20 feet.
The ship is a total of... So this is Here, let me double check my note for it. Because I have the Iron Warden written out. Or rather, someone else did some work for us. Oh no. Oh, you're going to hate this. To your own knowledge from James's paperwork, you would note that the ship's bottom storage area specifically is designed to dispel magic cast at it up to 5th level. Meaning besides these spell circles, you can't dispel the spell circles, and any magic you're going to cast on yourself that's going to touch the sides of the ship is going to immediately be dispelled if it's below 5th level.
Only if it touches the side of the ship?
The sides or the floor.
I can work with this.
You can do the ceiling, technically, because the ceiling would be the inner ship, so that wouldn't have the effect on it.
How far away is my target?
The engine is a total of 80 feet back from where the stairs are. Or ladder is, sorry, down.
Fucking perfect. Okay. I pull out my chunk of blue ice.
Uh-huh.
Thank God you gave this to me. I throw the blue ice the other side of the room, I jump, and I fucking teleport to it.
Wait, what spell are you using?
This is the Frostfell slide.
Frost?
He's doing a dance move in the air.
Frost?
As long as I am touching ice, which I always am, and there is ice where I want to go, I can teleport there. I have a 3-foot range.
Oh my god, that's an actual thing. Alright! Yeah, as you teleport onto the ice, the chunk of ice onto that ends up landing over the. Actually, you know what? Give me a base attack throw. Let's see how far you can make this.
Base attack strength?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's a 16. My base attack is 5.
So 21.
21. So 23.
23 in total. Okay. As you chuck this thing over this large bronze thing, a block with strange tubes coming out of it, strong magical aura kind of coming from it. They have multiple skulls that seem to be cast onto it. You manage to toss this rock over it as it flies over, teleporting to it. You manage to take hold of it right as you fly above the engine block, landing on top of it as it continues to vibrate loudly. The thing stands about 10 feet tall and about 15 feet wide. The pipes themselves look to be almost about 5 feet in width, as well as just about as long, kind of sticking and going into the ship and going throughout it, from what you can tell.
Time to look for literally anything that might turn this fucking thing off.
Give me a search check.
God fucking damn it, Zilpip.
I will let you know, out of character, this Ray Plasties is not related to Zilpip in the slightest. This is a fully different character.
I'm also going to be giving John the riot act for trusting a dragon right after he's been singing Eider's praises for slaying dragons.
23 after modifiers.
23. As you look about, there is no clear sign of anything on this device to turn it off. As you no levers, no pulling ropes. There's no switches. Nothing kind of catches your attention. While we cut back to James and John, as John looks at James and goes, "So, I decided to design it without an off switch, so once it turned on, it just kept going. It would make it much more efficient, because then we save on fuel as it just basically continues to refuel itself."
That's not how lyrium works, you know. It can get drained and would need to be replaced, so...
It just sucks in the magic from the air and basically continues to refuel itself, as long as nothing influxes or adds more magic or stress on the system.
But what if something were to remove the magic from the system?
Oh, the whole thing would probably explode worse than like one of those ancient supposed meteor swarm spells that they talk about. You know, all those supposed scholars that think meteors exist.
John?
Yeah?
You should never make something without an off switch. Every forge needs to be turned off for maintenance.
Oh, I know that. I blew up my family's home twice with a couple of spell switches I was working on. Ow.
So, how would you shut this off?
I wouldn't. Literally, there's no way. I mean, you'd have to dispel the whole thing, which I think it might eat the magic, and then it'd explode.
You're not going to like my solution.
As James kind of pales more and more to realize that Cinder's not the simplest.
I'm also at the same time looking and going, you trusted a dragon after singing Eider's praises for slaying a dragon. Doesn't that seem like it might be trying to, I don't know, kill you?
Oh, no. He said he was cool. He said he was a big supporter of the Snowbeard rights and their power and rise to supremacy, and said we belong on top, which I did kind of feel weird when he kind of put the dragons in weird, kinky, like, leather outfits and such. I don't know how I should feel about that, to be honest, as there were some things I learned about myself. As he starts to go down a weird rabbit hole, James, as you're kind of just left thinking.
No, okay. Stopping the engine before it destroys the town.
As we jump back over to Cinder.
God fucking damn this.
The engine's made of metal, right?
It is made of bronze and brass, yes, and copper.
I cast Rusting Grasp.
Are you sure?
What other options do I have?
Let me just check something.
I do not have many options in this case. I am hoping to sabotage it so it turns the fuck off.
Okay.
Maybe if I get pipe, maybe if I get lucky.
Give me a spell resistance check, please. We're gonna see if your spell even goes through, or if it gets eaten.
21.
21. You watch as you feel your magic immediately sucked into the engine, and the engine starts to growl a bit louder, causing it to vibrate faster and harder. And as we jump back from Cinder real quick to John for a little bit more exposition for Cinder's assistance here. As John goes, the one thing you shouldn't do is if you cast a spell on it, it'll grow stronger and angrier. It might actually explode that way.
James will touch his earring that Cinder has one of and go, he made it without an off switch. We're going to have to probably scrap the ship.
Cinder, I need you to make another spell resistance check. This time with the acting with the spell being a plus or a first level spell.
Well, that changes literally nothing.
I know. Because we're gonna see if the sending actually comes through.
24.
24. You do succeed. You do hear the sending come through as your rusting grasp kind of fails you as you stare down at the pipe, not as it's unaffected.
All right. Well, I can't get out, so it's time to start cutting pipes.
Oh no!
I don't have another 4th level slot to get out.
Okay.
Just cut through the bottom of the ship, let it drop into the ocean.
I don't think I can. The hull is extremely reinforced.
It is. This is a very thick-bellied ship. It's specifically noted as being made as with great wood and to be arcanely capable too.
John, don't ever alter one of the ships again without checking with Odger or myself.
As he kind of chews on a piece of boar, kind of looks at you and smiles and goes, "Oh, Odger signed off on all of it. He said I could do whatever I want as long as I didn't blow up the ship."
Using lyrium to power something will blow it up.
I'm stuck to a pack, so nothing I can do can physically do it. So I get stopped every time I try to do something that will blow up the ship. So as long as no one else is messing with my invention, as he kind of like whips his fork around lightly as he talks, well, you should be fine. I mean, the ship will run fine. Nothing should explode. All my designs.
Well, what happens when other people cast magic at the ship and it gets absorbed into that engine?
Oh, I put it in a hole where there's a bunch of, where it's surrounded by dispel magic. It should, I mean, it'd only be able to be attacked from the inside. And only an idiot would try and dispel it from the inside.
Viva la resistance.
You gonna eat that, by the way, James? And he looks over, it kind of eyes your stew.
I push my food to him.
Oh, God, man, you're an awesome boss. You know, you should have been king of the clan. As we jump back over to Cinder, as James takes a minute to really just grasp the level of stupidity he's dealing with. Cinder, as you look down, kind of eyeing up the pipes, considering how to cut them up, what's the plan?
What's the closest skill I have?
I will say you are backed up against the back wall, if that helps at all, with the engine block, because it's right next to where the rudders would be, so it's literally pushed right up against the back wall, with thankfully no spells on the back wall. However, I will still mention the back wall is still affected by the dispel magic area.
Would you call this a trap?
Yes.
Can I roll trap making to see if I can think of any way to get out of this situation?
Yeah, sure. This would be equivalent to like a trap in a dungeon, technically. So yeah, I think that's fully fair.
This is 100% a fucking trap, especially for me. Okay. I have a +9, 24.
24. Okay. As you kind of take a second, looking about it, there's a ceiling. You could try and climb it if you got daggers. As you kind of look at it, if you got rope, you might be able to hopefully try and get it to hook onto something if you got it weighted. And like climb sloth your way across, basically. You know how they climb back down, going across. As you kind of look about, you could try and cut out the back of the ship. However, you're probably underwater, so that would flood the ship and you.
I can breathe underwater, and I was given order to scuttle the ship.
That's true. But technically it is normal wood other than the dispel thing. So as you kind of take a second, that's also an option. Last option is you could try and just crack your way through the engine. I mean, it's bronze, it's tough, but theoretically, if you punch it enough times, or try and smash it enough times, you might be able to break it.
And I don't think the engine will explode if I do that.
No, it'll 100% explode, most likely,
Yeah.
with a ton of magic, given it just ate your magic casually.
What's the ceiling made of?
Wood. And you're about 5 feet from it with your height?
Fucking gonna get up there and cut through the ceiling.
I assume. What are you using to cut it with? Just out of curiosity.
So, the blue eye scimitar is not technically innately magical.
No, that's
It's not
fair. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking like how brutal is this going to be? We talking like an axe where you're splintering the wood, or are you cleanly sawing through this basically?
I'm gonna saw because that's what blue ice is made for.
Okay. So, yep. As you kind of get your blue scimitar, kind of turning it around the back to the serrated edge on the back, and just start shoving into a thing. Takes a few pierces, but give me a base attack. See how long it takes you with your blue ice scimitar.
Can't blue eye scimitar gives me a +1 for any terms of slashing.
Nice.
Let's see, 19, 24, 26, 27.
27? Yeah, it'll take you a few minutes of trying to get the initial stab in as you're trying to work it in, but after that you get all the way through feeling the blade kind of cut through. Sawing it takes you only a few minutes as you're used to cutting through wood and kind of shaping it as you will. As you cut a nice circle in the ceiling, a chair kind of falls through the hole with the chunk of wood underneath it, kind of smacking onto the engine, thankfully not cracking or causing any damage as it kind of stops and stands there. Looking up, you can kind of see into the galley of the ship.
All right. Well, once I can climb out,
Give me a climb check real quick, and let's see what you got.
I can walk up walls.
True, but I still need a climb check.
Why?
Oh, wait, how do you walk up walls?
My shoes.
Wait, what, really?
That's what the spider climbing shoes do.
Oh, spider. I thought it was the ice stuff. Sorry, I'm still thinking of it. Your fucking snow slippers. My apologies. Managing to kind of climb out and grab onto the wall as you do. Kind of climbing your way into it as you pull yourself through the hole pretty quickly. Pulling yourself into the galley as you look around. It looks to be the normal galley of the ship as you look down at the engine still roaring away as it was.
Not my problem getting out of here.
Kind of start running up the top of the ship and scuttling back to the tavern after a few moments. As James kind of looks over at John once more, as John kind of finishes James's dish, kind of drowning it down with his glass of ale, and looks over and smiles.
John, I have a job for you as a shipwright.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be opening a shipbuilding business here in Knighton.
Oh, I work for Udgar, though.
I'll talk to him about it.
Sure.
Might be good for you.
Why, are you afraid I'm going to do something?
No, I just want to be able to give you a chance to show your craft, make some river vehicles, and make some river boats to take stuff back and forth.
You know, you sound a lot like your dad did when he kept telling me how I was a bastard and was never going to be part of the family.
Your talent with woodworking is something to be treasured. I'm trying to put you in a position that is best for that.
I mean,
James is 100% honest there too. If he tries to
give me a
sense
diplomacy
motive.
check. Let's see. How convincing is James to John?
Since it didn't use the charge earlier, friendly face. I have to make this as good as possible. 23.
And looks at you and goes, I mean, I can. If Odgar approves it, I don't really care what I'm doing, as long as I get paid and I get a decent meal. Not really.
I will talk to him as soon as I see him.
Fine. And, that was a good meal. You might... kind of getting late, and I'm going to kind of go back to my ship.
Go ahead.
Well...
Have a good night, as I pat him on the back.
You too, James. Thanks for the food. I really appreciate the talk, even though you're kind of a weird dude. But I'm happy you're my boss. Yeah.
I'm ecstatic about it too, my friend.
Happy I have a boss that understands my ingenuity, that would never try and destroy my contraptions. Last guy tried to do it that night. I had to fork him. So, as he kind of smiles and waves at you and goes, I'd hate to have to do that to you. Have a good night, though. And he kind of starts heading for the door.
I imagine at that point that fucking God damn it, Cinder walks in.
A few moments later, yeah, Cinder seems to kind of come in annoyed, angry. Yeah.
I look at Cinder. We're going to have to talk to Odgar about removing the damn thing. He made it without an off switch. He didn't consider the fact that, a good portion of the hull is spell-proof, not all of it.
James, the next person to waste blue ice on a fucking death trap, I don't care who they work for, they're going to die.
Uncle, I'd be 100% behind you if you wasn't talented with woodworking. At that point, though, I am 80% behind you.
Anywhere.
God damn it. That was bad, Cinder. That was horrible.
Hey, what the old man?
I know, it's fair. But James and Cinder, as you kind of stew over your cups, kind of taking a moment and beginning to kind of contemplate what to do next, we're going to end session here. We thank you all for watching. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time with the party having most likely headed to Velkomen next. We'll see you then.